What is good, everybody, on this Sunday? Another day, another hour. World Combat Sports is in the building. Sports 101. What's good with you, man? Salute. Nice to see you in the chat. Today is going to be primarily boxing, y'all. On the back end, it's going to be some mixed martial arts. But yeah, I just want to kick this off by saying, regionally, you see some of the states are opening up already, right? They're basically at a point right now where everything is kind of riding on this UFC card that's coming up this week. And the reason why I'm talking about the UFC because Dana White's been pushing for card after card to open up. And he's tried and attempted various but various footprints to put on his card. What it may do for boxing, if indeed this fight card is successful, and it does pretty decent numbers. I'm talking about those type of numbers that's for the blackout or whatever. If those numbers are comfortable, because it's always time for growth, to get people back adjusted to tuning in to combat sports and then reaching in their pocket to pay for a PPV. Then they might say, well, you know what? Let's start, putting on some boxing shows in certain areas. Of course, it's still going to be blackout until we get this thing contained. But we will look at some boxing, even if it's no audience. We will do that. And that's the good thing about, leading up to this point about Charlo potentially saying that he wouldn't mind facing Jason Rosario in a blackout arena, no audience. I mean, I'm trying to tell myself, I said, I've been waiting for Charlo to goddamn talk that shit to somebody that matter. You know what I'm saying? I've been waiting for Jamel Charlo to step up and say, let's unify the titles, man. Let's get this shit popping. You know what I'm saying? So hearing Jamel Charlo say what he had to say, now I'm asking you, the audience, do you believe that unification bout is something that boxing needs to put on once this pandemic is lifted? You know what I'm saying? Is that a bout that needs to be, just say the sanctions are lifted in certain areas, like for Florida, for instance, and we know damn well that certain fights have to be in specific locations for that shit to even come close to working. But a bout of this magnitude, and why I say magnitude is that we're talking about the WBA, IBF, and the IBO titles, right? To include Jamel Charlo WBC. Do you think who they are, you know what I'm saying, will it warrant them stepping into the ring in a blackout to fight for a unification bout? Will the money be right? You know what I'm saying? Is it one of those bouts where Charlo has always been at the front door trying to establish his name, become a more popular fighter in the sport of boxing? Is this the right time to have a unification bout with Rosario in a blackout at the junior middleweight division? I think it is. The reason why I'm thinking it's pretty decent time once we get a little bit more restrictions, see a little bit more relief, is because Charlo is still trying to build his name up, right? That's just fact. I'm not talking about as far as the inner circle of fans that support Jamel and Jamal Charlo. Charlo in the 154-pound division is trying to build his name up. He needs that big fight. Tony Harrison has come and gone. You know what I'm saying? He had a 1-1 with Tony Harrison. You're not giving him a rematch. So the next one in line is Rosario, 21-1-1. We need to see that fight. Absolutely. We need to see that fight because I've been waiting for Charlo to step up and goddamn call somebody else out. And it matters. Just like everybody's holding Terrence Crawford accountable for not having any important names on his resume in the welterweight division, for which he does. He does. If you look at the criteria and how it's broken down, the hardcore fans would be like, okay, he fought some undefeated guys. He just didn't fight guys with non-winning records. He didn't fight guys that was coming off a hiatus of a year and a half, 2 years, whatever, that wasn't competitive. I would like to see Jamel Charlo, Jason Rosario get it on. I don't care what the venue is. Those two names, and for the degree of which they're fighting for, will have fans tuning in for sure. I truly think they'll have fans tuning in, no doubt about it. Absolutely. And I really hope, I say mid-year, you know, July time frame, August or whatever, we start seeing some more regional states, double back a little bit. Just kind of showed some type of, I know what they're doing now. They're being very cautious. I know you want to be very optimistic about opening the doors too quickly, because they did that down here in Georgia, and a lot of people are frowning upon it, and they feel some type of way, like they have conspiracy theories that the governor is trying to sit up here and not so directly place black businesses in jeopardy, which I don't see it that way. I just don't see it. It's too much going on down here in the A for that shit just to target black businesses, because now you're stereotyping. Now you're saying the only people that own salons are blacks. The only people that visit salons are black. Only people that go get their hair cut in line are blacks in the barbershop. That's just not the case, man. That's just like saying, well, Popeyes was closed down, so Governor Kemp down here opened up small restaurants for takeout only, and then they place some names up there: Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes. People lose their motherfucking mind. You know what I'm saying? Why they put them Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes? They trying to kill off the black. Don't go eat the chicken. The chicken is tainted. Don't go eat that motherfucking chicken. But anyway, look, I'll be the first one over there. I ain't gonna lie. I get my Popeyes every now and then. I don't give a fuck what you say. You know what I'm saying? I don't give a fuck what you say. When I go over there to Popeyes, it's not just black people in the line. I'm gonna tell you that. It ain't just black people ordering red beans and rice. You know what I'm saying? Goddamn, a 10-piece bucket of chicken, mashed potatoes, them biscuits. Give me some honey, please. You know what I'm saying? Sweet tea. It ain't just black people. But anyway, back to Jamel Charlo. The interesting part about Jamel Charlo, though Jason Rosario isn't a huge name, he has one loss, but he still has credibility. That credibility is, in fact, him defeating Julian Williams. You know what I'm saying? That's his credibility right now. They're coming off that loss with Nathaniel Gallimore, and then coming in here and stopping Julian Williams. He has a little bit of credibility walking in there if he was to face Jamel Charlo. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have one of those resumes that's gonna have you leaning in saying, oh shit, this is gonna be a tough fight. This is a 50-50 fight. It is absolutely not. It's not a 50-50 fight. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about negotiation, and I'm talking about competitive wise. I don't see it being a 50-50 fight. Denise Ward's in the building. Salute to you, soldier. Sports 101 said with TJ, yes, we need that. I take that back. I'm reading part of your name. Exactly, me too. I agree. Yep. So, the odd thing about Julian Williams' loss, though, is that Julian Williams, and I was sitting up here, talking to somebody the other day. Now, I don't like leading people, leading people into a brick wall. I don't like trying to tell them, okay, put your hands behind your back and just skip. You don't have to run, just skip into a brick wall and see how much damage it does, right? I'm trying to explain to this person who exactly defeated Julian Williams. And, they've been telling me, Jamel, he got that on his record. If he going to sit up here and call out any other champion, Jamel, he got Julian Williams on his record. And I'm saying to myself, I say, bruh, you getting the twins confused. Jamel Charlo, he's not the one, man. I know they look alike, but he's not the one. Real talk. No, man, you know, and then they just don't want to listen. I say, well, take the time to look it up. I'm not gonna say I bet you anything or nothing like that. Just take the time to look it up. Of course, when you don't get a response from somebody, that means they found their answer and they don't want to call you back. But Jamel Charlo, right, did not step in the ring with Julian Williams, okay? Jamal Charlo stopped Julian Williams in the 5th round. The unique part of that is that when Jason Rosario stepped in there with Julian Williams, he stopped him too in the 5th round. I'm like, what's going on with this Cinco de Mayo shit with Julian Williams? You know what I'm saying? I was like, what's going on, J Rock? What's going on, bro? I just don't understand, you know, why the 5th round is plaguing you, because it didn't plague him when he fought Jared Hurd. Real talk. It didn't do it. He was fine. He fought through the whole entire freaking card and was able to win the unified titles. And you're probably asking yourself, so why are you not talking about Jason Rosario and Julian Williams going back in there and fighting for a rematch? I'm not counting him out, right? But what I do know is that Julian Williams is still healing from an operation that he had with a cut. And that, from my understanding, is Jamel Charlo is ready to go. He's been training and everything. So if they lift and they find a venue to hold a blackout card, I'm pretty sure, you know, where Jamel Charlo is at. He can jump right back in the training camp hard, get that shit, and you know, continue to cut weight and everything. And then you got Jason Rosario. That's only my question right there. That's my little dilemma, my question mark. Would Jason Rosario be ready? Because he's a big 154 pounder, a 54 pounder. You know what I'm saying? He's a big junior middle, right? Will he be ready? And will he accept the fight? Because, like I said, I've been waiting on Jamel Charlo, you know, to pop this music out there, spit some bars on some other champions in the division. But I didn't hear that from Jason Rosario. I didn't hear it. So that's my only optimism. Will Jason Rosario, if this fight can be made, would he accept the challenge in a blackout arena? That's what we need to see. That's the kind of fight we need to see. I know it's two people that's probably in the United States grid right now that we can make that fight happen. We need to see it. What else is going on in that division? That'll be collectively 3 super titles. You know what I'm saying? And the only other one that's remaining is Teixeira. You know what I'm saying? So we take and unify the junior middleweight division with Charlo and Rosario. And then whoever wins that fight, they fight Teixeira, man. Then we will have not only the junior middleweight division close to a unification. All right. We have hopefully the welterweight division on par. And then the lightweight division on par for a unification. Now, you're probably asking yourself, those fans, aren't you leaving out something? Yeah, that goes for the bantamweight division too. The bantamweight division is very close to an undisputed fight. It all depends on how everything works out after this is lifted. Because you have Inui and you have Nordino Bali. Nordino Bali was scheduled to face Nonito Donaire. But just like a lot of fights, shit has been delayed and put off. So therefore, it may set up open windows for other contenders to step up. I.e., you know, we have Joshua Greer Jr. in the shoot that was scheduled to face Jason Maloney. But he indeed may be able to face John Casimiro. So if he's able to face John Casimiro, right, he win that title. Then we will have Inoue that's in the middle. He either face Joshua Greer Jr. or Nordino Bali. But guess what? Inouye was supposed to face Casimiro before the damn COVID-19 hit. Inouye, Greer Jr., hell yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's close to a unification if it goes down like that. You know what I'm saying? That'll be great. That'll be 3/4 of the super title taken care of. And then the last one that will remain open will be Nordine Bali at the WBC. Awesome. You know what I'm saying? That'll be exactly what we need. And please, let's not talk about the heavyweight division. I really don't want to get off track right now. But the heavyweight division, you're saying, well, Anthony Joshua has, all the belts outside the WBC. That is true. But I'm speaking in a sense of bouts that can be made much easier than the heavyweight division. I believe that Anthony Joshua will continue to, fight whoever he want, who he want to fight. But one thing we need to understand, right? Let's make it clear. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury is still scheduled, man. It's contractually binded. So that bout is going to take place whenever it comes to fruition and hits the stage once again, whenever they set the date and start promoting the fight. What I didn't like, people, is once again, certain media segues out here reporting that Tyson Fury's Anthony Joshua was in negotiation. Listen, with media integrity, I just can't go up here and start reporting on clickbait and misleading titles. Hey, New Fat, what's good? Thanks for dropping in, man. Salute to you. I can't sit up here and say, you know what, I'm gonna start reporting on fights that's nowhere close to even happening, period. So therefore, if you have Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua in negotiation, what are they negotiating on? You know what I'm saying? What are they actually talking about? What are they trying to figure out? Because regardless if we on a COVID-19 lockdown, and right now we're in a sense where what we left the sport with was Fury and Wilder was contractually bonded. That shit just doesn't dissolve like smoke. You know what I'm saying? It just doesn't evaporate. That shit is still in ink. It's still legitimately binding contractually. So people have to understand one thing. If you choose to tune in and drop comments just to talk about miscellaneous BS over and over again about clickbait and leading shit, okay, so be it, because we live in an era like that. But why talk about a fight of Fury and Joshua if it's nowhere close to happening? I mean, you don't find something extremely concerning about that shit? Like, would you actually get satisfaction out of seeing Fury face Joshua? Real talk to the hardcore boxing fans. Real talk. Would you find satisfaction the way Joshua looked against Ruiz rematch? Would you find satisfaction in that shit? I just wouldn't find satisfaction in that fight. If you're talking about the ring IQ of Tyson Fury, his boxing prowess, his wits, his smarts in the ring and all that other stuff, his size and everything. Just put it this way. What if Anthony Joshua ballooned back up to the weight that he fought Carlos Takam? Right? What if he, we knew Tyson Fury came in there at 273 to fight Deontay in the rematch, something like that, right? So what if Joshua gained weight to better place himself in a competitive setting against Fury? Would it work? It wouldn't work because we know Joshua don't have goddamn endurance. Now, I'm going to tell you where he can get endurance at, people. Hear me out. I can tell you where he can get endurance. He can get endurance if they have the fight out of state, out of the, somewhere in Saudi Arabia, because the testing is quite different over there. So you might be able to see Joshua last a good, 12 rounds and be competitive with Tyson Fury because the testing is different. And we all know where I'm going with that. You know what I'm saying? He might be feeling a little bit more energy. You know what I'm saying? Joshua's like, shit, we fighting in goddamn Saudi again. I'm happy. But come over here to the US, you're going to get pretty much what you got with Andy Ruiz and Joshua the first time they fought. That's one of the worst fights we ever seen Joshua in. Real talk, and there's a reason for that. So if they fight in Saudi Arabia, because I can't see that fight coming over here to the U.S., it don't matter if Tyson Fury basically gave up his license. That don't mean shit, people. Believe that. Tyson Fury can get his license back whenever he feel like it. But when you're trying to explain that to some of these fans and be like, man, just because he dropped his license, he can go back and get that shit because nobody took the license from him. He didn't pop dirty for anything. He wasn't suspended like he was before. He just dropped his license. So if he ever want to fight over there again, all he had to do is reapply. That's just like Jarrell Miller. When he popped, he wasn't licensed. So his punishment wasn't as severe as it would have been if indeed he had been licensed. But people need to just jump out the box a little bit. I know a lot of you want to see Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. I get it. Undisputed. No, look, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Right now, if we're talking about undisputed, I get where you're coming from. You're basically saying, I just want to see a heavyweight undisputed. But listen, do you really want to see a heavyweight undisputed between them two? Or would you want to see a heavyweight undisputed between Wilder and Anthony Joshua? Wilder, Fury. Come on, man. You really don't want to see an undisputed fight between Fury and Joshua. You just don't. And listen, for all you hardcore boxing fans, man, I demand a little bit more out of you all in understanding maturity aspect. If you saying you're a mainstream purist boxing fan, you have to understand where I'm coming from when you identify Joshua the way he looked against his rematch with Ruiz and the way he would look against Tyson Fury if they're outside of Saudi Arabia. If they're fighting in Saudi Arabia, then, you know, Joshua might have a little bit more cardio to him, a little bit more edge. He may feel a little bit more confident because of the way testing is over there. But for Tyson Fury, he'd be right at home. I truly believe Tyson Fury is that type of dude that'll fight anywhere. He is. And I believe he'll watch Joshua. Seriously. And a part of me said, you know what, Tyson Fury potentially can stop Anthony Joshua. But really, you know, the projection, if you put it out there on what we would like to see in the heavyweight division, is a unification bout. That's what we want to see. We just want to see a unification. But between who? Because that unification in the heavyweight division needs to be something astronomical. It needs to top February 22nd. It needs to be between two people that are worthy, that I'm saying for boxing history. They need to be two people that bring everybody to the seats, something that's competitive. And I believe, in my own eyes, I believe if Deontay Wilder was WBC champion and Anthony Joshua, and then with the history that they have, you know what I'm saying? Both of them now have one loss to their ledger. Anthony Joshua, if by some miracle happened, he still have all the belts. You know what I'm saying? He faces Deontay Wilder for the undisputed. But in all honesty, I just don't think that should have never happened. I don't think Joshua wants to fight Wilder, even with a loss on his record. And let's just say somehow, some way, it was talks after, just say Joshua go in there and defeat Kubrat Pulev. Somehow the talks came into play. We just excluding the rematch clause, right? Between Wilder and Fury. Let's just say hypothetically, right? Just say Wilder was in line and he wanted to fight Anthony Joshua. Fury had other shit going on. Do you believe Anthony Joshua would step up and say, you know what? Wilder doesn't have a belt now. He has one loss like I do. Let's do it. I just don't get that energy from Joshua. I don't get it, bro. Real talk. I just don't think he'll step up and put himself at risk in stepping in with a fighter like that. And look, how good would it be to see Wilder fight Joshua in the UK? because I truly believe Wilder will be one of them guys. If he really talked to his team and everything, he would just step over there and say, you know what, fuck it. I go over there to the UK because I know I'll beat Joshua. We know the referee's going, all the pawns going to be on the board. We know everything that's going to be taking place over there in the UK. But shit, Deontay Wilder got some fans over there in the UK. Let's make that shit clear. Deontay Wilder got some fans over there. You know what I'm saying? Anthony Joshua has fans over there. Obviously more than Wilder, but the fans know from 2018, they know the bullshit that happened. They know all the other stuff that went down. And it's a lot of us still out here curious to see Wilder versus Joshua. But when it all comes down to it, I don't really think Joshua will ever make that decision as a boxer and as a man. Boxing News said, I just want to see Charlo versus Rosario. That fight would be lovely. And that's all I'm saying, man. I would like to see that fight, especially in the junior middleweight division. That's what we need. Like right now, you have the lightweight division where it's at. But when the heavier weight classes are in play, you know what I'm saying? When we talk about the welterweight, the super welterweight, okay? Junior middle, super, same goddamn division. And then we got to skip over middleweight. And we got to go straight to super middle. Mix that up a little bit. And then jump over light heavy, cruiser, and go straight to heavy. Because I really don't see anything popping right now. You know what I'm saying? I don't see anything popping in the middleweight division. I don't know who's going to fight who. We don't know what Canelo is going to do. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking about that Triple G fight. I'm talking about unifying. That IBF belt, who cares, bro? Like, we all know Canelo is stepping there with Triple G. But who do we truly want to see fight Canelo Alvarez? We want to see Jamal Charlo. Because both of the Charlo brothers are looking for a breakout fight. Both of the Charlos, y'all. And that would be awesome. That would be good. If we can see both Charlos fight for unification. That will bring those two divisions up. And also it'll bring up the lines only to the forefront, and then we can be like, okay, the Charlo stepped up. Just say Jamal Charlo stepped in there against Jason Rosario. He won. Just say Jamal Charlo finally got his shot at Canelo Alvarez, and he won. Now the changing of the guard is here. The changing of the guard is here. The Charlo brothers have now established themselves and their legacy, so to speak, in two of the most reputable divisions in boxing. And now all you have left is the back end of the division in the middleweight division. And we all know who that is. We all know who will be left. So that'll bring us closer to unification. That should be on point. But it's far and few between. And, it's good for boxing talk. But I'm not gonna lie. I'm rooting for the Charlos to have a step up fight. You know what I'm saying? It would have been good to see Jamal Charlo step in there with Jarrett Hurd before he lost, but that shit never happened. We thought Julian Williams was gonna reign for quite some time, the way he looked against Jarrett Hurd. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I said, goddamn, J-Rock ain't nobody. Look, the way he looked against Jarrett Hurd, I was questioning Charlo. Could he even handle that type of Julian Williams? You know what I'm saying? And then he goes in there and gets stopped in the 5th round. Oh my God. I'm just like, what's going on? Like, was he injured before the fight? What the fuck? And then doing all this chaos in the junior middleweight division, right? Still, we don't really hear Jamal Charlo saying too much of anything, people. We don't hear Jamal Charlo saying too much of anything. Like, I would want to get inside, like, shit, if goddamn Julian Williams is not fighting Jason Rosario, goddamn put my name in that motherfucker. Let's go. I mean, they always talk about they in shape. We stay ready so we don't have to get ready. Lines only. All right. This is a good fight that we'll want to see. You know, we need to really start bumping shoulders with this junior middle and this middleweight division so we can get Charlos the bouts that they need to get. A lot of people don't talk about Charlos like that because they think they prima donnas, but they still a part of boxing. You know what I'm saying? The Charlo twins are unique in what they do in the sport of boxing. So you got to respect what they do. Both of them in there talking shit together. You got to give it up. You know, Jermell Charlo and Tony Harrison press conference was a classic. Even though Tony Harrison won that shit, it was a classic. You know what I'm saying? Tony Harrison won the presser the second time. I mean, the first and second time. But Charlo won the goddamn war in the rematch. He the one that stayed more focused, stayed on the plan. What's going on, Line Killer? Salute to you, man. And you know, that's what it was. Line Killer said World Combat Sports with the shades in the house. The Nice Wars, howdy. Yeah, man, you know, it's way out there at the end of the telescope, but I can see it, man. Imagination is a beast. You know, a lot of this goddamn media shit is creativity, and a portion of it is imagination. But too much of your media, what you report on, can't be imagination. You know what I'm saying? You got to really talk about some shit that's potentially going to happen. And the fights that I'm just mentioning, the reason why I say Charlo is that he finally came out and called out Jason Rosario. He said he's willing to fight him in the empty arena. I think that'll show us a lot about Jermell Charlo. Seriously. That'll show us a lot about Jermell Charlo. If he's able to step in the empty arena and fight Jason Rosario, who, once again, I'm not sure if he's on board, but if they step in the empty arena and Charlo give us that same energy that he had with Tony Harrison, and he drink out of the right water bottle, you know, it could be a goddamn good ass fight, man. You know, if he leave the Gatorade bottle alone, man, and drink out of the goddamn water bottle that they gave, it will be a good fight. Jason Rosario is an okay fighter in my eyes. I didn't think, even with the stoppage of Julian Williams, I didn't think he looked all that impressive. He's a big guy, but until I see him go in there and land those shots on Charlo, I can't see him outworking Charlo, man. I can't see Jason Rosario outworking, not with the pace he was putting on Julian Williams. Julian Williams more so faulted with a flat rather than Jason Rosario, you know, pushing the gas and running over the speed bump. That's just my OP. Seriously. I just think the pace that Charlo put on Tony Harrison, shit. And the power that he was goddamn slingshotting in the first half of the fight against Tony Harrison. Oh, Rosario got issues. Rosario got issues. We ain't never seen Charlo on the deck. But I can almost assure you, Charlo may come close. We're talking about a headhunter. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about Rosario don't have very fluent head movement. He's not considered a defensive fighter. Charlo may goddamn put him on his ass, man. He may sit him down. That's real talk, y'all. So we'll see what's popping with that. Seriously, I hope it happens on the blackout because Julian Williams is still healing from surgery, from my understanding. So what better fight to make? Boxing needs to put on some heavy front-loaded cards, even in a blackout arena. And to be honest with you, I don't see it getting as heavy as Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. I don't see the shit. But there are some other fights out there, when I talk about heavy, that can be basically put on with no audience. There's still reputable names in there competing with one another. And Jermell Charlo versus Jason Rosario, that is indeed. I know we can't put on Canelo Alvarez and Triple G in a blackout arena. I know that shit's all about the money, just like Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence is all about the money, right? So if you take Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao, can them two names be put in a blackout arena? I don't know, man. A part of me say yeah. Even with Manny Pacquiao being who he is, a part of me right now can say yeah if the money is right. But when it comes to big names like these particular fights, you have to get the right investors. You have to have the amount of people, the right people that's going to put forth, an investing effort to make this fight happen. And you're not going to get that when you don't have a gate. You know what I'm saying? The gate is missing right now. It's heartfelt. Like for fighters that want to go on here and put on these fights, man, that's on the front side of their thought process, the gate. Because you just can't go in here and make a goddamn hellacious amount of money and you have no audience and you don't have shit else going on. So I know the whole process for Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin is to get this trilogy going, because that's all that Gennady has left. And people still believe that since the first one was a draw and the second one was pretty much won by Canelo Alvarez, it's according to who you talk to, they still want to see a trilogy. You know what I'm saying? They still look, it's a lot of people out here want to see that trilogy because they are enamored with the possibility of Gennady Golovkin going in there and giving Canelo Alvarez a very competitive fight, man. I don't see it. I don't see it. I think Gennady Golovkin is over the hill just a bit. He actually had a birthday during the COVID-19. So with that said, I'm about to welcome him to the elderly club. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to say, hey, Gennady, come on over now. I got some hot tea for you. I got some goddamn cheese and crackers and some grapes over here. Sit on down. That rocking chair over there to my left. You know what I'm saying? Let's cut on an old movie. Matter of fact, put on one of your favorite fights. Let's put on when you verse Daniel Jacobs. Something like that. You know what I'm saying? Let's watch old times, buddy. Because you're on your way out the door. You know what I'm saying? So you might well sit down and drink this hot green tea. You know what I'm saying? Have some cheese and crackers and grapes. Watch some of your old fights. And goddamn, rock back and forth. And reminisce about the good times with Abel Sanchez and how it all used to be awesome when Jim Lampley was reporting on you. Those days are over, homie. If by chance Canelo Alvarez and Triple G fight in September, I'll watch the fight. It's some intrigue to that fight. I'll watch it. But what I really want to see, I just, hearing Jamel Charlo call out Jason Rosario, say he's willing. Let me read the article quote from Boxing Scene right quick, right? They say that this is a quote from Boxing Scene, cite the damn source. The WBC super welterweight champion knows facing Rosario is the fastest, surest way to prove he is the best boxer within the 154-pound division. Otherwise, Charlo realizes his distractors can continue criticizing his resume. Absolutely. I agree. Jamel Charlo goes on to say, I need Rosario to get him out of the way so I can hold the belts and really have that. Charlo told the PBC podcast co-host Ken Buhari and Michael Rosenthal, I don't got to tell y'all I'm thinking, I'm making a living for my family. It's already understood. You dig? The Dominican Republic of Rosario changed the configuration atop the 154-pound division. And they just talking about him stopping Julian Williams, you know what I'm saying, who's 27-2-1. And like I said earlier, his first loss came with Jamal Charlo. So Jamel go on to say, I wasn't surprised, man. I wasn't surprised, man. I was kind of expecting it to be a tough fight. I didn't know Williams would not be able to handle him. That's for him to say he wasn't surprised after the performance he put on with Jared Hurd. He might have been sincere and maybe not. Brazil's Patrick Teixeira, 31-1, 22 knockouts, holds the WBO Junior Middleweight Championship, but Houston's Charlo wants Rosario next. I want to see if I can prove that I'm really the top dog. Charlo said, I want to see if I can prove that I'm really the top dog. Do you see a little doubt in that? I don't know. But the statement itself is like, I want to see if I can prove that I'm really the top dog. I want to know myself. So really he's trying to prove to himself, which is good. But for some critics, they'll be like, you're not sure if you're the best in the division? Because every time we hear Charlo talk, it's almost like he know for a fact he's the best in the junior middleweight division. But to say he want to prove, hey, it is what it is. He said, I'll fight Rosario with no audience, Charlo said. We have to have the TV so the money could be big, but we'll fight with no audience any day. He said, but we'll fight with no audience any day. That's good news. It's all about if Team Rosario is willing to accept the challenge. And lastly, Jermell Charlo said, I got to get all the belts, man. I can be master boxer and call myself the big boy and all this until I get my belts ready. You know what I'm saying? When I get all them pretty belts around my waist, that title gives you something. But if you didn't fight nobody to get it, that's what they want to say. They don't recognize everything you've been through. They don't realize every camp is 10 weeks. They don't realize how much it takes out of your life. I guess boxing scene was supposed to say, okay, but what it was meant to say is they don't know what the fuck is going on. They just think you some effing Aztec warrior. No, we don't think of boxers as Aztec warriors because every boxer isn't an Aztec warrior. And a lot of us in this era hasn't even seen enough Aztec warriors compete to even compare combat sports and boxing to an Aztec warrior. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of Aztec warriors that was buried. So unless you fighting to the death, I wouldn't really compare yourself to an Aztec warrior, period. Because boxing, you're not fighting to the death. Even though much respect to those who have lost their life in sacrifice of this sport, the analogy is nowhere even close. Because back then, you know how they got down. People was going in there fighting to the death. As far as him saying they don't realize every camp is 10 weeks, not every fighter does 10-week camps, bro. That is absolutely real. Not every fighter has 10-week camps. If your mind is set that you need a 10-week camp for everything, everyone you face, then guess what? I mean, it might be some doubt there because if you stay ready so you don't have to get ready, then why a 10-week camp every time you step in the ring? You know what I'm saying? It's some fighters that do not. And, I understand what people are going to go with this because you got some crybabies out there. And you got some people that say, you know what? You're not lacing up the gloves right now. You goddamn right I'm not. But I'm just telling you my opinion that every fighter does not have a 10-week fight camp. Every fighter does not, even on the damn televised level. They don't have the damn finances for a 10-week camp. And they don't freaking jump in to a 10-week camp every time. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see it. If you're able to get a 10-week camp every fight, then so be it. But what happens when you have people fighting 3 and 4 times a year? 5 times a year, man. You know, some people just willing to goddamn go into the fire, man, and see where they heart take them. Not everybody has a 10-week camp. But to lead back to what I was saying, if L Foul player, what's good, man? Salute, thanks for dropping in, man. You know, if you go back and you take a look at some of the fighters that fight on a regular basis, they have shorter fight camps and they go in here and still perform, then you got to give a salute to them. You have to give a salute because back in the day, you had some fighters that was fighting a dozen times a year. You know, you had some fighters that that was fighting like 30 times a year, fight multiple times a month. And I know people are gonna say, well, they was fighting tomato cans and all that shit. Check this out. Even if you was fighting that way, still it's a fight, right? Still you had to go through some type of freaking damage. And I know sometimes, back then the rules was different and people was able to come and go as they please. They walk into a ring, they get the job done. Okay, that shit still goes on today, but not like back in the day. You know what I'm saying? It still happens on a regional level to build up a fighter's record, but you don't see people sitting up here fighting 30 times a year like they did back in the day. Some of them fighters. So yeah, it's tough, man. But let's hope that shit happen. And let's hope Jamal Charlo, his brother, let's hope he get the fight that we all want to see. You got two ways to go, big homie. You know what I'm saying? You got two ways to go, Jamal Charlo. Man, we need to see that shit pop, man. No excuses. Lines only, all that other stuff. We need to see that shit happen. I'm not gonna lie. We need to see Jamal Charlo, finally stepping there with Demetrius Andrade or goddamn Saul Canelo Alvarez, period. We need to see that. I really don't want to see Jamal Charlo and Sergey Derevyanchenko, but I do have enough respect for Derevyanchenko, being that he did defeat Gennady Golovkin, that he would go in there and fight Jamal Charlo. I have that respect for Derevyanchenko, his credibility, his toughness, his grit, his boxing skill. I would like to see that fight with Jamal Charlo if he's unable to fight Saul Canelo Alvarez or Demetrius Andrade. I don't want to see him fight Jaime Munguia. I really think Jamal will have an easy go at Jaime Munguia, who's just jumping weight classes like nobody's problem. Jaime Munguia may potentially be one of them fighters that you look at and say, well, shit, he's a 4-division champion. How? What was that? Jaime Munguia, before you know it, he's going to be a multi-division champion, and you're going to say, how? Because this motherfucker is just creeping up the stairwell, dipping in and out of goddamn dark spaces and shit and appearing on rankings. That's motherfucking Jaime Munguia. Don't nobody know what the fuck he got going on, dog. Every time you turn around, he's moved up a weight class, dog. I mean, come on. But I don't want to see Jamal Charlo facing. For what? I don't want to see that shit. Jaime Munguia is ranked in the WBC and WBO pretty goddamn high, y'all. He's ranked 10th in the IBF. So give it up to Zorro himself, Jaime Munguia, the Mexican Zorro. God damn it, that dude has damn maneuvered himself through divisions like no other boxer I know, bro. Every time you turn around, Jaime Munguia is goddamn moving up a division already. L Foul player said the ref could let a hometown cab driver brawler type maul you down back then, and then you had another match planned in 2 weeks. Yeah, man, for sure. For sure, man. I can't imagine how many of them fighters actually came in. They was back there having drinks and shit. on both sides. They back there having drinks, and then they step in the ring to fight. The rules was just so much. I mean, and plus you had a lot of fixed fights back then because the mob was goddamn integrated into boxing. The mob was integrated into boxing and everything. So a lot of the influence before a fighter stepped in the ring, you pretty much know which fighter may have, was going to take a dive and the other one's going to win. That shit went on. I got it. Yeah, man. I would have liked to went to some of them boxing matches back then. When you actually dress up, take your lady out to the boxing mat. It was called, the gentleman's sport. Took your girl out. Saw a 15 rounder. Can you imagine going to a boxing match, right? And you pay for ringside seats. The C, goddamn 15 rounders from some of the well-known names today. Could you imagine sitting through that? 15 round fight, y'all. Could you even fathom if boxing, the championship fights were 15 rounds today? And this is just leading to my next point, my talking point, right? They took away 15 rounds to somewhat provide a little bit more safety to the sport, right? Okay, I understand. But check this out. Now that you have 12 rounds, championship fights, right? Look at it this way. Easy for a man to say, okay, we got 8 to 10 rounds going on. Easy for the male fighters to say this, that, and the other, okay? And then for the female side of the boxing, they still have 2-minute rounds. And then they max out, they peak at 10 rounds. All right? But check this out. In mixed martial arts, it's across the board that the women are fighting the same amount of time that the men are. 5 minutes, either 3 rounds or 5 rounds. Championship fights or interim championship fights are 5 minutes per round, man and woman. And also, you go down to basically the regular fights on the main card and undercard and the prelims. They're 5 minutes, 3 rounds each. Why hasn't that transitioned over to boxing yet for the women? Because mixed martial arts has proven that women can go in there and fight 5 freaking rounds with 4-ounce gloves, y'all. Shins, elbows, knees, fist, kicks, anything you can imagine. They are fighting equally to the time allotted that the men are. So why hasn't boxing changed that shit over yet? They need to get on board, man. We need to see 12-round fights for women. And also, we need to see the time increase from 2 minutes to 3 minutes. Real talk. Real talk, man. I'm just being honest. I truly believe they should goddamn change that shit up. That's real talk. Will it happen? I don't know. So, nope. Next, I want to talk about somebody who had something to say. Right, I'm also happy to finally hear him speak up too. That's your Dinas Ugas. It's about goddamn time your Dinas Ugas is speaking up because dude is still relevant in the sport. He's still relevant in his division. So recently he was like, let me not remind you I was robbed when I fought Sean Porter. You know what I'm saying? He made a point to say that. Let's not forget what happened to Crawford in the amateurs. And I'll say, oh shit, all right. Ugas is trying to goddamn make himself known, man. You know, he's trying to speak up because right now in a division like welterweight, when it comes to the primary talking points of matching up fighters, Ugas' name really doesn't resonate to the narrative like it should. Ugas is a talented fighter, man. He is. And he's a reputable dude. You know, he's a reputable name in the ranks in the welterweight division. So he said, don't let me remind y'all what happened to Crawford in the amateurs, and also that I was robbed when I fought Sean Porter. So who can possibly Yordenis Ugas fight? Now that Danny Garcia is not fighting Sean Porter, I would like to see that fight between Danny Garcia and Yordenis Ugas. Now that we're in quarantine and everything, I would definitely like to see that fight. I would like to see Ugas and Sergey Lipinets. As you all know, I'm a fan of Lipinets. Even though he lost to Mikey Garcia, man, dude is a tough individual. I'm a fan of Lipinets, man. I'm glad he's ranked high in the welterweight division. And I'm curious to see if him and Mikey Garcia link up. Can he beat Mikey Garcia at this weight? Because Mikey Garcia defeated him moving up to 140 for the first time. So I'm curious to see if in fact the boxing community or the boxing heads may say, let's make Lipinets and Garcia two, but in the 147-pound division. Or Lipinets versus Yordenis Ugas, you know what I'm saying? Or, you know, you have the WBA gold champion Virgil Ortiz, you know, and Yordenis is right there behind him. Yordenis, he's right behind number one ranked in the WBA. But we really need to start shedding some light on Ugas, man. He ain't no bum. He ain't a slouch. Like, let's go. Let's go. Let's see the shit. Danny Garcia just floats around up at the top, man. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't go anywhere. Like when Danny Garcia loses, he don't go anywhere. I see other people, they lose to a top name like Sean Porter, and they disappear in the back door of the damn top 15, dog. They gone. And then, of course, I have to mention my man Jerome Boots Ennis. I really want to see him, you know, face somebody that's a good name. I don't know if you would like this matchup or not, but it's a lot of names out there for Jerome Ennis, man. With a record of 25-0, I believe. It's some fights out there, bro. You know, you got Hooker up in the damn division. You know, you got he ain't ready for Sean Porter yet. But you got Thomas Delorme, Keith Thurman. You know, Keith Thurman's been out there talking and giving some pretty decent interviews as always. But we'll see if boxing even thinks about, you know, making Hooker reach his progress after this is all over. But for Jerome Ennis, man, you know, for his record and people saying he's not experienced to do this, that, and the other, I'm like, bruh, how big your record? You want your record to be like? You want your record to be like Joseph Benavidez when he faced Terrence Crawford? Dude was 27-0, right? I mean, why have an undefeated record, go in there and just take the 1L and say, okay, I'm fine? Jerome Ennis is like 25-0, I believe. It's about time for him to step in there and fight somebody with a reputable name. That's all I'm saying. Everybody love talking about boots. The aliens don't do shit for me. It's just all about the fighter themselves, man, and how they perform in the ring. All the alias shit, you can have the coolest name ever. Cool, I get it. But we're in a sport where it's show me. It's a show me sport. You know, what have you did? You know, what have we seen you do lately? All that, bro. The welterweight division has some changing of the guards, man. Some people that's there in the next year or two. Some of these people that's sitting down in the top 10 are going to be world champions. Real talk, they're going to be world champions. We're really unsure of who's going to unify the welterweight division. Whether it's going to be, Errol Spence or Terrence Crawford. I really can't see Manny Pacquiao unifying, especially on the proper testing. I don't see him unifying the division. But I know people are going to say, well, Keith Thurman was unified champion at one point in time. You're absolutely right. He was a WBA and the WBC champion. You're absolutely right. But right now, with Keith Thurman being where he at and the way he looked in his last fight against Manny, it'll be a tough sell for me to say that he's going to come back on a hunt and start with Terrence Crawford. You know what I'm saying? It takes a lot for me to understand if that's going to come to fruition, for him to jump back in the hunt and say, I want to step in there with Terrence Crawford. I can't see it. Have him fight Yordenis Ugas, man. Shit. Keith Thurman's ranked 5th in the WBC. I don't want to see Mikey Garcia and Keith Thurman. Mikey Garcia lost to Errol Spence and fought Jesse Vargas, right? And he's ranked ahead of Keith Thurman. I'm gauging assumptions here that this is probably from inactivity, but it can't be from inactivity because he just left the Pacquiao. But Mikey Garcia being ranked above Keith Thurman in WBC is crazy. It's crazy. Mikey Garcia is saying now that he's a true welterweight. He's had 2 fights at the weight. I don't know, bro. I mean, it is what it is. Y'all keep on sleeping on Mikey Garcia. I'm telling you, mark my word here today. I'm telling you, y'all, out of these names that's sitting up in the welterweight division, right, that you don't think is going to get a title, one fighter that I know that's determined and they're going to find a way for him to get another division, for him to earn that 5th division, and that's Mikey Garcia. Believe me. Remember that I told you. Remember, they looking out for Mikey Garcia, bro. Remember what I told you. I don't care if it's a regular belt. They're going to make some shit pop for Mikey Garcia to become a 5th division world champion. Mark my word on that. Yeah, that's all I got on that division. And 140 pound division, the titles are split 50-50. Josh Taylor and Jose Ramirez, man. Whenever they fight, they fight. You know what I'm saying? Let's get it on. Let's unify the 140. The 140 pound division is not really popping with the names that we're looking for, because you look at Victor Postal. I mean, it's just not an exciting division. I'm just curious to why, Regis didn't stay down there a little bit longer. He might have felt some way with him losing to Josh Taylor the way he did, but he just bounced. I don't think he did a lot of work at that division. Seriously. In the lightweight division, we talked about this all day long, man. That's one of the most exciting divisions in boxing right now. The highway. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the highway traffic in the lightweight division, very nice. They have a lot of participants that can make some traction in this division. And we just have to wait till the damn shit starts to open back up so we can actually see what's going to happen. And you already know who that fight is, Lomachenko Lopez. And then let's not forget Gervonta Davis is still in the mix, regardless of what you may think about him or whatever. He's still a damn good fighter, 3-time world champion. So let's make the tough fights coming up out this shit. Let's make it. Let me check my okay. Dillian White said Dominique Brazil is a shameful, pathetic excuse for a fighter. I really don't like talking about Dillian White. He just makes it so easy for me to talk about him, though. You know what I'm saying? He does. He makes it so easy for me to talk about him, man, and what he got going on. Dylan White says this about Dominique Brazil. This guy are time wasters. Clearly, he's bored at home and trying to shake off his last knockout and thinking, how can I get another big payday? The guy's a chump. How can he have 2 world title fights? He didn't even deserve one of them. That's the reason he gets 2 world title fights, because he's easy work, easy money. And Dylan White, of all people, he loves to damn talk. He loves to talk about some shit, man, as if he not in the same position. Dylan White said he hasn't had a single fight since his embarrassing first round knockout loss to that fraud Wilder. He talks shit about everybody, brother. So that's why I can't understand why his brother Dean said what he said about, Wilder when he stepped over to the UK. Like, he know what it was. He knew he was in different territories, so he didn't have that same energy. I'm like, goddamn, Dillian White talk about every motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? Dillian say he hasn't had a single fight since his embarrassing first round knockout loss to that fraud Wilder, a man who humiliated him both inside and outside the ring. Shameful, pathetic excuse for a heavyweight boxer who should make a comeback and beat a few credible fighters before calling me out. That's something that Dillian White needs to prove. If you can go in there and beat Dominique Brazil, then fight him. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and fight Dominique Brazil. That's all I'm saying. If you believe everything you're talking about, go fight him. Because to be honest, I don't see you facing Deontay Wilder anytime soon. I don't see you fighting Deontay Wilder anytime soon. And the reason why I say Deontay Wilder is right, because just because Dillian White is the WBC Mandy, right? I truly believe Deontay Wilder can go in there and get his belt back from Fury. And for Dillian White to be the Mandy, right? I don't see him defeating Deontay Wilder. Now, just by chance that Dominique Brazil names come into play, it's really going to have to be a push from somebody, because Dominique Brazil is so far out the top of the rankings. I mean, I don't know, man. I've seen them scrape the bottom of the barrel and pull fighters' name up to face fighters. But in this particular case, Dillian White is the WBC mandatory. So, that fight interests me. I would like to see Dillian White fight Dominique Brazil. I would like to see him fight Deontay Wilder, but I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. Even if he get his belt back from Fury, will the people pay to see Wilder White? They would, because of the history of Dillian White talking shit, the history of, Deontay Wilder and Dillian White truly not liking one another. And where would the fight be if the fight was to happen? You think Dillian White really want to come across the pond and fight over here? I guarantee you, if Dillian White and Deontay Wilder had a fight over in the States, I know who they'd be cheering for. You got 2 black fighters walking to the ring, they're going to do process of elimination, guaranteed. Because I'm saying that because when you have Wilder, who is U.S. born, being booed, and Fury, a neighboring fighter that's walking, they cheering him. Well, just like Luis Ortiz and Deontay Wilder, they're gonna selectively pick their favorite. They're gonna say, well, today we're going to let me see. It's not Tyson Fury, but Dillian White is UK, but we really don't really like Dillian White, so shit. And Deontay Wilder has faced Tyson Fury. So what can we do here? Hey Mike, go get me a shot. Let's go get 3 or 4 shots, and after we take the shot to the head, let's think about this. Well, matter of fact, I think we're gonna we're basically gonna cheer for Deontay. Yeah, because he does have a little bit more presence over in the UK, and we like him a little bit more. Yeah, they can do process of elimination like that bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't heard a crowd just go bananas over freaking Dillian White. He talks so much shit. I just don't hear people going buck crazy saying, I want to see Dillian White fight. But if by chance it was Deontay Wilder and Dillian White, Deontay Wilder will become a 2-time champion. Guaranteed. He would take Dillian White's belt easily. No doubt about it. Easily. His whole game plan to the process is he go in there, full bore. And just like he said, if I take it on the chin, so be it. I don't care. If I get chinned, so be it. You just can't have that mentality when you're going in there with such an important fight against one of the top ranking heavyweights in the world, Wilder, and say, I'm just going to go give it all I got. I'm going to go in there, and if I get chinned, I get chinned. So therefore, what's contradicting is you're dogging Dominique Brazil for getting knocked out in 2 minutes and 17 seconds. But yet and still, if you go in there and just go and give it all you got and get knocked out in less time, what does that make you exactly, Dillian? Like, if you go in there and get knocked out in less time than Dominique Brazil, then what does that make you? Will you ever get another tight shot again if you use that mentality just to go in there and put everything on the line, throw everything in the kitchen sink out there, and you get knocked out? No, don't nobody want to see that shit. Don't nobody want to see that in the heavyweight division. We already know the heaviest division, you got some big punchers in there. But what we don't want to see is people that's going in there and just throwing it all by the side recklessly and just say, you know what? I damn if I do, damn if I don't. Whatever. No, man, you have a choice. You can box and you can set it up the right way, set your punches up the right way. And if you land a power punch or if you see an opening, you take it. Just don't go in there full reckless abandonment and get your ass slapped and then say, well, you sound like James Kirkland. I gave the fans what they want. You know what I'm saying? I gave the fans what they want. I hope y'all was entertained for those 40 seconds. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to hear that, man. We don't want to hear none of that shit. But not to get off on a tangent, though. Lastly, I put up in the title description about Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, right? And what I did here was, I was listening to certain media segues talk about Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury negotiations. And then if you do follow boxing scene had to, come back out with an article and basically revise. And I'm looking at this shit. Look, check this out. I'm listening to this shit because you didn't hear me report on that bullshit. Because I'm looking at it, I'm saying, why are people reporting on something that's not reality? That fight is not reality. That is somewhat like a fantasy fight for people because they're enamored with Tyson Fury being the one to fight Anthony Joshua for the belts. So they're pretty much enamored at the projection that is going. The reason why is They believe during COVID-19 shutdown, they believe somehow, some way, somebody's gonna make this damn Deontay Wilder and Fury fight disappear. And that's just not the way a contract works in most cases. So I'm hearing people report Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury in negotiations for the unification. They already criticized new media. They already look, a lot of people call us YouTubers. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't respect what we talk about. But yeah, we got people who saying they know so much about boxing and they this, that, and the other, and they the best out here in the game and all that. And they're out here reporting on falsicities. There's not even legitimate talking points in the sport. You're talking about a unification bout as if Wilder isn't in the picture no more. And you know what that says about you? That's basically saying you don't have no respect for Deontay Wilder in general. Because for you to even report for views on that particular topic, and it's not even legitimate damn course of action that's going on in the sport of boxing, is BS. You're not even damn respecting the champ enough to say you have a rematch clause and we're going to wait till that rematch happen. But no, they want to start talking about, well, let's mislead the fans and the audience, and let's talk about Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury as if Deontay Wilder is out there suffering brain damage, and he don't remember him, Shelly Finkel, JD's, none of them remember that it's a contract signed for Deontay Wilder to have a trilogy with Tyson Fury. You think that's actually what's going on out there in Alabama? I mean, seriously, you think that's the way it's popping? Because for you all to take to the mic and talk that bullshit, it only makes the new media look that much worse. When we out here reporting on shit, when you putting clickbait out there, oh, I need the views. I need the views. Come on. Give me some more views. I need some views. Matter of fact, let me goddamn put parentheses on the front of my shit. That'll do it. Maybe if I put oh shit at the beginning of all my titles and put some bullshit title, you get more views. That's not solid media, man. That's not credible media reporting. When you know damn well you have a match in place, but yet you're up here talking. I wouldn't even allow my audience to come on here and talk about that shit as if Deontay Wilder wasn't in the picture anymore. I wouldn't do that, y'all. I'm just being honest. I wouldn't do it. Seriously. I'm talking sober. I wouldn't do this shit, bro. What's going on, Dana? I wouldn't do it, y'all. I wouldn't even fragment the respect level of reporting on Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury. And then somebody in the live chat say, well, hey, tell me this. How you sitting up here talking about a potential fight? Is Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury canceled? And I'm up here like, well, we in COVID-19 and the fight was supposed to take place July. It's not going to take place. And then, the fight was supposed to be moved to October. It's not going to take place. So, hey, yeah. I said, what? I mean, come on, bro. Like, just because the fight has been pushed back, why are you sitting up here talking about some shit that's just fantasy? Because in my eyes, that's disrespecting the fighter that is signed on for the trilogy. That's disrespectful. You're trying, look, like I told this person the other day, it's a difference between Saul Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin when they fought. It's a difference that Canelo Alvarez stepped in there against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., knowing that the fight with Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin was already signed. We knew that Chavez Jr. was going to go in there and take that beating. We knew that shit. It wasn't going to be a shocker. So when the boxing audience knew that Canelo had already signed a fight with Triple G, we knew what the fight was going to end up like. We just didn't know how the results was going to play out. So shit, give it up to Chavez Jr. for going in there and being a punching bag. But immediately after the fight was over, who split the ropes? Who split the ropes? Gennady. That's not the fight we're talking about in this particular scenario. Because the one who has the contractual agreement is for the trilogy, and that's Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. So no matter how y'all disrespect it, it's extremely disrespectful to be talking about Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury as if Deontay Wilder isn't in the equation, y'all. It's disrespectful. And y'all need to understand that out here reporting that shit for goddamn goo goo gaga. I need to lean in a little bit more and goddamn, get me some more views so my AdSense will be right. Man, that shit, that lacks the integrity of media. You know what I'm saying? It does, man. It's just people already call us YouTubers. But when you always putting goddamn bullshit out here, descriptions for people to tune in to shit that haven't taken place. I mean, make up your fucking mind. Like, are you going to be a goofball or are you going to be considered credible media? And right now, people are not really respecting YouTube media as being credible because you got people up here that's just putting clickbait and a lot of shit up here that's not even the integrity within the sport, combat sports in general. So take it for whatever it's worth. You grown fucking goddamn adults, man. You can do what the fuck you want. But I just look at it like y'all want to support a certain fighter, but yet y'all don't see how disrespectful it is to talk for another fight in the future when you know goddamn well that there's no way that fight's gonna happen. And just the point of saying, well, you know what, Deontay Wilder is gonna take step aside money and put a question mark. No, don't put the question mark. Just put the shit up there. Deontay Wilder step aside money. Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua, unified for the unified heavyweight titles. Stop putting the bullshit up there. If you feel that Deontay Wilder is gonna take step aside money, grab your balls and goddamn man up and say, well, I'm hoping. Stop playing both sides of the fence, man. If you think Deontay Wilder is gonna take step aside money, say it. Start having an open discussion to the audience. Well, what do y'all think, people? Let me talk to you, the audience. What do you think? Is Deontay Wilder gonna take step aside money? Is what Tyson Fury said true? Is he just fighting for a check? Is he driving around part-time in an Uber like Young Jock? What is Deontay Wilder doing for us goddamn doing this COVID-19? Is he training anybody? I mean, come on, man. Come on, bro. Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, y'all talking about the man taking step aside money, question mark, which is bullshit. And then you talk about a fantasy match, which you're negating to inform the audience that Kubrat Pulev is on the other side with Anthony Joshua. And I'm hearing some of these damn videos that's not talking about the two stipulations. The other stipulation is Kubrat Pulev, who's the mandatory for Anthony Joshua. And then you have Deontay Wilder, who is the mandatory signee contractually for Tyson Fury. So how are we up here wasting people's time for views and we want to be considered credible media when you have two halves that are set in stone? And yes, the way that can dissolve is step aside money. So you're saying whoever takes this fight, just say Saudi, and they put that oil money up there. Oh, well, Kubrat Pulev. Let's offer him this. Deontay Wilder, let's offer him that. But our main concern is who? Deontay Wilder, right? The man had the championship belt over 5 years. You know the deal. Stepped in there for his 11th defense. So why aren't we trying to build up the trilogy? He came out with a PBC interview. He barely said anything to the extent of the uniform, anything else. He just basically said he had bicep surgery, right? So why aren't we out here building up the potential for the trilogy between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. You know why you're not building that shit up? Because you don't want to see it happen. Y'all frauds don't want to know. Y'all don't want to see that shit happen. You don't want to see Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury happen. You want to sit up here and say, okay, they don't deserve. He don't deserve. He don't deserve. Why the fuck he don't deserve it though? 42-1. Why in the hell he don't deserve a rematch? But Anthony Joshua quits, spits out his gum shield, looks at his corner in disbelief and confusion. But yet y'all sitting up here saying, oh my God, is Anthony Joshua okay? Man, we just can't wait for him to get back in the rematch. Anthony Joshua shows back up to the rematch, looked poorly, underperformed, had on his ASICs, and really didn't perform like a former unified champion. But Scotty, World Combat Sports, if you follow me, I pretty much told you that's how Anthony Joshua is. Exactly what you're seeing. Even when he was going through negotiations, I'm telling people, Anthony Joshua is a robot. It's nothing exciting about Anthony Joshua. And then you have the people up here saying, well, guess what? I don't know why you're hating on Joshua. I'm not hating on anybody. I'm just telling you, when you continue to talk about the uppercut that he used against Vladimir Klitschko, I'm sick of hearing it. Because he hit Carlos Takam and knocked him down, and Takam got up. Where's all that knockout power? Where's all the Williams, when he knocked out Williams when he took a dive for the IBF? Where's all this freaking power? This Dominic Brazil power, this Dillian White power he had. What happened when he started to face top tier opposition? What happened? We ain't talking about Alexander Povetkin. We're talking about Joseph Parker. What happened when he faced Joseph Parker? Did he knock him out? Do you actually believe that Anthony Joshua that went the distance with Andy Ruiz will go in there and give Tyson Fury the business? Do you believe that same fighter that stepped in there with Andy Ruiz will give Deontay Wilder with one loss the business? You'll probably say yes to that, right? Because a lot of you out here are not trying to promote to the public for that trilogy to happen. What you really want to see is for those belts to be over in the UK. It's disrespectful no matter how you look at it. It's disrespectful. Y'all should understand that. It's very disrespectful. You know in your heart of hearts, you know deep down to the core that those of you that's out here talking about that bullshit as Joshua and Fury negotiation bullshit, how do you report on something so fictional? How do you negate the fact that your champion is signed up for a goddamn trilogy, but yet you want to sit up here and say, well, Joshua and Fury is in negotiations, as if to insinuate Deontay Wilder is taking the easy way out and he's going to take step aside money just so y'all can say, you know what? Tyson Fury beat the shit out of Deontay Wilder, so he don't want to step back in the ring with Fury. You know what I'm saying? Fury beat the shit out of him. That's what y'all want to say. But yet, I didn't hear the same energy when Deontay Wilder knocked down Fury and then he didn't take the immediate rematch. I just didn't hear that shit. I never heard it. When it was time for the immediate rematch and Fury out here fighting Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallen and jumping off the top rope against Braun Strowman, I didn't hear y'all motherfuckers saying, hey, you know what, Fury, I like what he's doing. He's a businessman. You know what I'm saying? Whenever he wants to come back around and fight Deontay Wilder, that's his choice. That's totally up to Fury. He deserves it. The guy lost 100 stones. Come on, man. Let's be real. Respect Tyson Fury. He's one of the greatest ever. Respect him. He's the former unified champion. Well, let me ask you this. What happened when he popped for this? Was that proven? Yeah, it was proven. Man, that's old. Stop talking about that. That's just old. That's old news. I'm serious, man. I just can't. I know it's Sunday, man. I'm just trying to put some laughter. The motherfuckers be goddamn jealous in the fact that Tyson Fury never defended the title. He hasn't even defended the WBC title yet. Why you joking, right? He hasn't defended the WBC title yet, y'all. You have to understand the clarification where I'm coming from. Tyson Fury was a unified champion. He's now the WBC champion. He hasn't defended the title yet. But you have these freaking media outlets. I almost call them bomb-ass media outlets, but not all of them are. But I feel that you up here reporting on leading titles and descriptions with audience participation. It says a lot about what you're reporting and the following that you get. Because I could give a damn. I would rather have 15 people in the live chat talking about some conducive content rather than have people up here talking about bullshit that's not going to happen. Because basically the only way for you to make that shit happen is that you exclude Deontay Wilder from winning in the trilogy. That is the way, man. You're basically saying Deontay Wilder's not going to win. So let's talk forward. We're talking forwardly. Let's prognosticate what's going to happen between Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury. And then all y'all goofy sitting in our chat, yeah, that's going to be a fight, man. That's going to be nice. Who you think going to win the first 5 rounds? And how much do you think they're going to get paid? Who you think going to win all the titles? And then, it just say, for instance, Joshua win all the titles. Then you get the motherfucker. Will he be considered the top 3 heavyweights of all time if Joshua win the WBC title? Will he be considered better than Muhammad Ali? You know what I'm saying? Will he be considered better than Lennox Lewis? Yeah, he got to. That's when you hear motherfuckers just start talking out their ass, yo. You know what I'm saying? That's why I say don't even talk about a hypothetical in that pretense when you have a title shot that's already signed. The trilogy is already in ink. So therefore, for you to sit up here and talk about a fantasy fight, and I'm not saying there's nothing wrong about fantasy fights, because fantasy fights during this COVID-19, I'm sick and tired of it. Reading the bullshit. You know what I'm saying? What if Mike Tyson faced Errol Spence at freaking light heavy? I mean, the bullshit that I'm reading, I'm like, people, come on, do better. But a fantasy fight, when you have a fight assigned already, all because you feel in some type of way that you really don't want to see Wilder step back in there with Fury. You don't want to see it. You know why you don't want to see it? Because a part of you is saying, yeah, he lost bad. He got beat up. He was bloody. I have all the poorly arranged excuses to say, all of a sudden, boxing is too dangerous for Wilder. Wilder took a beating. Wilder shouldn't step back in there with a fighter like Fury. And I'm asking myself, like, who did Fury do this type of damage to before he was in there with Wilder? Who did Fury beat up like that? Otto Wallen had a huge ass cut on damn Tyson Fury and even was fucking with him and rake this glove across the cut. I didn't see people crying about Otto Wallen should stop boxing, because of his actions. I didn't hear people saying, you know what? Tyson Fury, he had that huge cut over his face. He shouldn't fight no more. No, it was like, cool. He's about to step in there with Deontay Wilder after he leaves WWE. Cool. Let's see it. In one breath, I look at it like this. If you're going to give Anthony Joshua the pass for the beating that he took and quit, Anthony Joshua quit. Let's be clear. He quit. So you should give a lot more praise to the fact that Deontay Wilder finished the fight on his feet, and potentially Tyson Fury gloves wasn't normal as they should have been. Because let's be honest, we've seen him in the Johan Duhaupas fight which he stopped the man in the 11th round, and he took some damage, right? But he didn't take damage to the point like he took with Tyson Fury. We're talking about 11 rounds. Vice stopped in the 7th round. It's real facts. Deontay Wilder, his eyes was a little puffy, but goddamn it, he looked like he was walking around, and people was just taking punches at him just for free. And he was walking down the line with his hands behind his back just to prove a point and say, you know what, I got a chin, punch me in the face. He looked like he was in a wreck early on in the fight. How can a fighter that's not considered a power puncher damage a fighter like Deontay Wilder so little rounds? How can you inflict that much damage and you're not considered a power puncher? Seriously, how in the fuck does that happen? I mean, like, was David Copperfield ringside? Was that motherfucker, goddamn waving the wand and shit to my poof? There we go. I mean, was he goddamn add some extra energy to Tyson's punches? I didn't even see Mike Tyson fuck somebody up like that without knocking their ass clean the fuck out. Like, Deontay Wilder got knocked down twice, but he was bleeding, big lip, everything. When did Tyson Fury become a power puncher? Somebody explain that shit to me. Come on, man. And in the process of you thinking about that, I'm gonna goddamn pass the offering tray around, please, and ask for donations. You know what I'm saying? For this trilogy. It's a relief fund. Yes, it's a relief fund. So we can goddamn provide essential supplies to all the haters out there that doesn't want to see this trilogy happen. You know what I'm saying? We're going to help them understand. We're going to provide therapy and counseling for them because obviously they're not true boxing fans and they want to get on here and talk about bullshit ass fantasy fights as if the champ is out of the equation. That's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. Y'all need to do better. Y'all need to do better than that shit. And if you got something to say, please, by all means, just ask to be on the live. I'll drop the link in there. If you're one of those people that I'm talking about, you're more than welcome to come on. It's absolutely no problem. We can have a dialogue. It's no problem. But I'm just curious as to, y'all want to be so respected in talking boxing. But yeah, y'all up here just talking about some bullshit as if the champ is not even in the equation. I don't give a damn you put shit at the end of it or not to make it seem like you're not committing. You're a grown-ass adult. The shit that comes out of your mouth, you have to commit to. You're committing to it. If I put light-ass plastic shit out here as a description all the time, if I dangle the carrot out there, and then when I jump on here, it's something totally different. All you're doing is fucking around with your audience. And if your audience allow you to fuck around with him, to each his own, man. To each his own, bro. That's all I'm saying. To each his own. It seems a little bit embryonic to me. Elementary, rudimentary, however you want to put it. It just sounds like you're in a class of kids that want fictional novels to come to life. And one of these novels that you're talking about is the unification that involves Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua. You know why? Because you got a lot of men out here, a lot of men in the U.S. that want to live vicariously through Anthony Joshua. Seriously, they want the personality of Tyson Fury and they want to live vicariously through Anthony Joshua on who he is. Some of you motherfuckers got Anthony Joshua posters up in your bathroom. Seriously. The love that they show Anthony Joshua. That man talks shit just like the next fighter. But instead of you grading him on his boxing skills, you're going to say, oh, Anthony Joshua, he's such a nice one. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? He's such a nice little, the mate has a lot going for himself. He's a well-spoken, articulate mate. I'm telling you, he's better than any boxer since Muhammad Ali. He's at the top. There's no way that Anthony Joshua have such a diminished character from anyone. He hasn't did anything wrong in life. He's an Olympic gold medalist. You know what I mean? He's a unified champion 2 times. Why should he be graded at the highest level of professional boxing? He is one of the greats. When you mention Muhammad Ali, you should indeed mention Anthony Joshua. You know what I mean? Come on with that shit talk. What's going on? Everything boxing, man. What's good with you, bro? Hey, everything boxing. You ever want to get on and talk about this goddamn why people up here talking about Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua as if Deontay Wilder is out of the equation? I definitely like to hear your feedback on that shit, man, because I just think the whole premise of media is to have credible reporting. You know what I'm saying? It's okay to play around periodically, but let's not just put shit up here and draw people in as if you're not grown adults and just talk that bullshit that, you know, once they in here, you want to say, well, you know, my description really has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. Like, really, we don't know if Deontay Wilder is basically getting step aside money. I just put that in the description. But if I put the question mark at the end, that leaves my hands up and say, you know what? I don't fucking know. I said Deontay Wilder taking step aside money, question mark, that releases me from any culpability. You know what I'm saying? That's not the way it plays. This is not motherfucking elementary school, y'all. They're going to continue to treat YouTube media as jokes, as comedic reporters because of what we do just for views. I know some of y'all making a living off this shit. I understand that. I'm not hating you for getting your hustle and your bag and all that. But all I'm saying is, don't go around here talking about, you know, you're one of the best out there, and you're not talking about legitimate, conducive media content that's not fantasy world. You know what I'm saying? I just get tired of reading that shit. If I read your description, I know that you're going to talk about that shit. Not, oh, Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua negotiations for the unification bout. And then you got hardcore fans up there with their hand like this. Oh, for real? Let me go up here and goddamn drop a search over here in Google. So Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury ain't happening no more? Like, where that shit go? Oh, well, that the caveat to that is Deontay Wilder, you know, taking step aside money. So was it any information out there that Deontay taking a step aside money? Did you hear one motherfucker say Deontay taking step aside money? Did you hear that shit? So why are you up here pretending that Fury Joshua is in play, right? Saudi Arabia, Pluto, Venus, it don't give a fuck where it's at. You talking as if it's in play. But then again, you acting and insinuating that Wilder is taking step aside money. Indirectly, you're putting it out there and misleading your audience to say Deontay Wilder's taking step aside money. So let's talk. That's bullshit ass media, man. How can you get somebody to respect you when you out here reporting bullshit ass content just to get people to tune in to something that's eye catching? Everything Boxing. Hey, y'all make sure y'all follow Everything Boxing and Sports, man. Shout out. You know, I know I see you over there with Money Brown and shit. And one thing I can say, man, they talk about some good ass content, some quality content. So, you know what I'm saying? Make sure you subscribe to his channel, bro. All this capping they've been doing is making me sick. I jump on anytime. All of a sudden, everybody about to fight each other. None of this stuff was going on before this pandemic. You know what I mean, man? You know, everybody out here trying to fight each other, bro. You know what I'm saying? If you ain't got shit going on, bro, jump on here so we can talk about all these people that's trying to fight each other and the bullshit I just mentioned. But yeah, I'm not sitting up here bitching and complaining. Real talk. I'm just putting it out there like, I don't know. I guess I'm expecting too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm listening to your video and I'm listening to your shit, and you keep on putting misleading goddamn descriptions up there, but you want to be taken seriously as boxing content, well, I'm demanding my audience to hold me accountable if I'm up here putting some misleading content up here just to get them to come in and then break their heart. You know what I'm saying? If I put some shit up there that interests you, and then you get on here and I'm not talking about, it's not really what I put up there, then I'm really breaking your heart. Like mentally, I'm playing with you. I'm being deceptive for a reason. I'm doing it intentionally. And it's up to you, a grown ass adult. You know how they always say, right? As a grown ass adult, you have the choice, right? So that's what I'm talking about. You have the choice to tune in if you want to. But y'all not calling these motherfuckers out. Y'all dropping. You have the right to reach in your pocket and waste your own fucking money. But look, I'm telling you like this. Just because I got them talk about boxing and MMA, I don't get enough views. So be it. Okay, cool. But I just think it's my priority to talk about dual and triple sports, right? I'm not going to just be one boxing channel because a lot of black media is involved in talking strictly boxing. And I don't have no problem with that. You can do the each his own. It's all good. But when you got majority of black media covering boxing on social media, and then you get up here and you want us to be respected to cover the sport in a way that people tune in to us and say, you know what, so-and-so talking about some good shit. Oh, so-and-so talking about some good shit today. You know, that was productive right there. That was some good boxing shit. And then during the pandemic, a lot of y'all true colors just came out because y'all talking about some nonsense. If you don't see it disrespectful to talk about a fighter as if they're not there, when this whole shit start to levitate a little bit, the bans, and we start to get more traction with putting on blackout cards and boxing come back into full steam, what's going to be next? You're going to go back to that same fighter that you was fucking off and treating as if they wasn't in the equation? You know what I'm saying? You're going to treat them as if they in the equation now. You know what? Shit. Negotiations back on for when they're going to put the fight card on. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury is still on for what we see. Shit. I was really hoping if we talked about the Fury Joshua unification, somehow the shit would take place once this pandemic lifted. But from what I hear, they're gonna have the fight again at the MGM Grand, and it's still in place. So let's start talking about freaking Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury again. And I don't want to hear you come talking about, well, Deontay Wilder, he had bicep surgery. Is he healthy? Who's going to clear him? I mean, shouldn't Deontay Wilder, just take the step aside money and let his bicep heal and allow Tyson Fury to goddamn face Anthony Joshua, and then he fights for all the belts? The man has from May to the end of the year now to heal, right? By 2021, I'm sure Deontay Wilder would be healthy enough to step back into the motherfucking ring. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna have another media guy on here from Everything Boxing Man, to talk that talk. Let me bring him on the stream right quick. Hey, what's going on with you, man? Thanks for dropping in, bro.
What's going on with you, Scotty? First off, I want to say, man, you be having great shows. I love watching your show. I don't get to catch it live all the time, but I always go, double back and catch it, on the replay. And yeah, you just had great topics, and I love watching the show, man. Keep doing your thing.
Hey, man, same to you, man. Thanks for the love, bro. And the same thing to you, man. Checking you out. I know you and Money Brown. I know following way back when you first got started, man. I done seen the rise and everything from Facebook to here. So keep on doing your thing, man. For real talk, it's certain freaking media outlets that jump on that fall through here that I'll say, man, go check that channel out right there, and especially yours. You be talking about quality content, man. You know your shit on boxing, and keep on doing what you're doing, bro.
I appreciate it, man. But as far as speaking about the whole Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, man, it's been a whole lot of a whole lot of fake news coming out, basically, and that's why I haven't really been doing lives on boxing like that, because I just been kind of sitting back watching everybody come out with these stories, running out, putting these fake titles out, and, just to get views and stuff, just basically like you were saying. And man, I'm kind of getting sick of it. Like, because first of all, you can't put words into Deontay Wilder's mouth. Okay. True. I mean, he has a contract, and we know what type of man Deontay Wilder is. He's a man that stands on principle. He stands by what he say he's going to do. And until he comes out and tells you out of his mouth that he's going to take step aside money, all of those stories is just bullshit. I don't know if you've seen recently, Scotty, recently one of Deontay Wilder's camp members came on Barbershop Conversation, I believe, and he spoke about Deontay Wilder, and he said that Deontay Wilder's absolutely not taking any step aside money. He said, so anything that you hear about him taking step aside money is false. He said Tyson Fury got to fight him, and that's what it's going to be. Now, we might not be able to see this fight until November or December, because Deontay Wilder has to heal up, but that's fine. I mean, we don't even know when boxing is going to get back started anyway. So, all of that, is pretty much irrelevant, making these, fights that's not going to happen, or making these make-believe fights just because certain fans want to see Undisputed. And yeah, we all want to see Undisputed. But to be honest, if Undisputed does take place and Deontay Wilder does let that happen, he has a chance of not ever even being able to fight for Undisputed. If that does take place, and I know that he knows that. Mm-hmm. So I mean, in order to even for him to take step aside money, the contract has to be certain stipulations in that contract that's going to be very hard to get everybody to agree to.
And what's so hard about goddamn talking some shit like that, man? I hear you, bro. I hear you. Everything you just said, bro. I understand, and I totally agree with what you're saying. And that's all I'm saying. I don't like using fake news because the president used that shit all the time, man. You know what I'm saying? But it's indeed fake news. You know what I'm saying? And just like you just mentioned, there has to be stipulations in the contract for Deontay Wilder to get that immediate bout between the winner of Fury and Joshua if it was in play. But I just don't like talking about shit in fantasy because Deontay Wilder and Fury has a damn contract already. So when you're trying to insinuate the man is going to take step aside money, I think it's bullshit. And shout out to Tay Jones, man, who was on Barbershop Conversations. I did listen to it. The only reason I didn't report on it, he had told me that already. Everything boxing.
Okay.
He had told me that, man. He can verify that. He had told me that, but I didn't report on it yet because he said he was going on Barbershop, so I wasn't gonna rush. I just let him, he was going on Barbershop Conversation. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna let him talk and listen in on barbershop conversations. But he told me before that, before he went on the show, I just didn't say anything about it.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I mean, in before he even said it, I already figured it because, like I said, we know what type of man and what type of character Deontay Wilder has.
Yeah,
And I just couldn't see him saying, oh, yeah, I'll take step aside money, let you guys fight. When I worked my whole career to get to this point, and you know how bad he wants that get back.
correct. And as a black fighter, let me ask you this, man. You go back. Your name Keon, right? Your first name?
Yeah, you call me Keon, KT, either one.
Okay, I call you
Yeah,
KT, man. KT, check
yeah.
this out, bro. What you think about um the what he mentioned, what Tate also mentioned about the doctor's situation that them having physical evidence that Deontay Wilder's results came back that potentially Fury's glove was loaded with something or any type of foreign substance due to the damage that was done to Deontay's face.
And I didn't. I don't think I caught that part. I don't think I caught that part. But I mean, you pretty much explained it. Um, I was having a conversation with somebody else in media. A little that's really close to Wilder. I'm not going to name any names or
Yeah,
nothing.
that's true.
But
Oh, good.
and we was talking. We was talking on the phone about that. And he had said that he spoke to Wilder and whatnot afterwards. And so I asked him, I'm like, did Wilder say that he felt any difference in Tyson Fury's power or his punches when he was, landing his shots? Did he feel any difference or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
And he said that he definitely said that he felt difference, a lot of difference in his pop. Because I mean, you can see we've never seen Wilder on his back foot like that.
True.
Now, I don't know if there was anything in his glove or not. Like, I didn't see his glove. I didn't check it. But I mean, we can clearly see that, his gloves were not on his gloves were not on all the way. We can clearly see that his fists were balled up in the palm part of his glove. And right there is no padding. So as far as it being loaded, I don't know. Like, I'm pretty sure that once Wilder comes out and he really, really gives an interview, because I mean, that interview that he gave, we all know what that was. We all know that it was the PBC, the business side wanted him to come
That
out
was
and
hors
speak.
d'oeuvres, KT. That was hors d'oeuvres right
Yeah,
there. He
yeah.
was just
But
feeding us toothpicks.
yeah, exactly. But the reason why he was doing that, and this is not what he said, but this is my, opinion on the reason why he was answering questions and doing that, is because you putting him to do an interview with somebody that he don't know like that, and he don't trust them,
True.
and then we already see what happens. Like that little interview right there, he didn't even say anything. He just said that he didn't feel right. Right. I put the interview up on my channel. I put the full interview up, and every day to this day, I'm still getting people coming in there putting it. All of the comments are just negative and negative comments. And I'm like, the man didn't even say anything. Like, he's not allowed to say that he didn't feel right. I mean, it's been plenty of boxers that stepped in the ring that didn't feel right, but they just went on him saying that he didn't feel right and just went off. So, I mean, I think, we'll soon find out, in detail, because the only people know is Tyson Fury's camp and Deontay Wilder, at the end of the day. And I mean, they let him. I mean, it's obvious in the first fight they let him get away with the glove issue. So I mean, who's there to say that he didn't have a loaded glove or whatever in the second fight? That's how I feel about it. I wouldn't put nothing past him.
That's true words, man. And I agree with you. Ohio Run Boxing in the building, man. Salute, Marcus. Real talk. They said, "What's good, guys?" Y'all be sure
What's going on, Ohio?
Yeah, Ohio Run Boxing, man. Real brother too that's out here reporting on boxing. But like you said there, KT, I would say it like this too. The criticism that you're talking about, as far as that interview, if people would just understand that Deontay Wilder received so much criticism going into the Tyson Fury fight. We're talking about a guy who wasn't on drugs, who didn't get kicked out of the sport for drugs and PEDs and cocaine. I can't imagine if the champ would have been that guy, how much vilification the fans would have gave him. And then for that interview to come up and they can't read through the lines that Deontay saying, you know what? I ain't giving y'all motherfuckers shit. I ain't saying nothing. I don't have shit to say. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm just gonna keep it as vague as possible. You know, y'all been waiting for me to come up here and talk. And you heard yourself, KT. The PBC was trying to ask him to kind of get it out of him, you know. So they really wanted to ask him about the uniform, about the uniform, talk on that, everything else. They just wanted him to make up, give them a reason to say, well, I think Deontay Wilder is still making excuses because that's what everybody's saying. But the champ really hasn't said too much.
Exactly. And yeah, they was trying to bait him into saying anything that they could bait him into saying so they could go run with it. And we still haven't, like you said, we still haven't heard him say really anything.
Yeah,
But
he hasn't really said nothing, man.
and as far as what you were saying about if Deontay Wilder had done all the things that Tyson Fury's been through with the suspensions and the drugs, we wouldn't be talking about Deontay Wilder right now. And I mean, and you know that because he wouldn't get the opportunity. If Deontay Wilder has, you know, the suspension and the drugs and everything that Tyson Fury has went through, we wouldn't be talking about no Deontay Wilder right now because he would never get the opportunities that Tyson Fury has got. And that's what I, strongly believe.
You ain't never lied about that. He wouldn't even come close. And
No.
it was just so disrespectful, man, to hear his fans booing. And shout out to How You Run Boxing for the donation, man. Thank you very much, bro. He said a lot of these YouTube boxing channels is losing credibility because they're using fake BS stories for clickbait, knowing the truth, shaking my damn head. And I concur, bro. And that's the only thing I'm saying, KT. Like, a lot of black boxing channels is out here reporting on the sport of boxing. But if you're gonna put clickbait up there, especially on a bout that's filled with controversy, and you know what that controversy is: the loaded gloves, the dirty tactics, the motherfucking, they want to talk about Deontay Wilder's uniform being too heavy and thinking that's the reason for him having no legs in the fight. But what they're not talking about is once Kenny Bayless called the fight, you didn't hear him complaining. You didn't hear Deontay Wilder running over there complaining. He just went over there and asked Mark Breland, like, why the fuck you throwing the towel? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
When the cameras was in his face, he wasn't sitting up there cussing and yelling and screaming and acting like a nigga, right? Because we just didn't see that from the champ. Like, if he would have been up there saying, you know what, fuck Mark Breland for throwing in the towel, then people would have been like, oh yeah, Deontay disrespectful.
But they reacted like he did that.
Correct.
That's the whole thing. Is he didn't do none of that. He didn't make no excuses, but then they acted like he did all of that.
Correct. And that's what I don't understand, bro. I don't understand. I can't even say they love to hate the man. Like, Floyd Mayweather is a boxer they love to hate because they want to see him lose. But when it comes to Deontay Wilder, it just seems like they have strict bona fide hate for the champ. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I know what it's about. I know what it's about. I mean, I think we all somewhat know what that's about, and it doesn't have nothing to do with. It really don't have nothing to do with boxing. It don't have nothing to do with boxing, and that's me. That's my beliefs. I don't think it have the hate for Deontay Wilder. Don't have nothing to do with boxing.
I get what you're saying. If you're talking about racism, right? I get what you're saying.
Well, I think it's because how he puts it in your face. He lets you know, how he ride for his people. He lets you know, the history of what's gone on with our people, and the till this day, and how he comes out, represent his black people with the performance, and it's all of that. And when a black man does that, I mean, just look back in history.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you don't need me to say it. They get vilified for. I mean, it always happens. You know, Deontay Wilder is not the first that has happened to. So I mean, him taking that stance makes a lot of people of other races. They just gonna hate that. They don't want to see that. They don't want to hear a black man talk about racism and racial issues, period. And so when that happens, I mean, they've been hated over history, when an athlete does that. I mean, even recently with Colin Kaepernick. I mean, it's that's just what it is, I mean, and then us as black people, a lot of blacks, they like to jump on the bandwagon and kick their own people when they down, and that's just what it is.
I see a lot of black people goddamn doing that, giving the same criticism to Deontay Wilder, even though he's standing up, like you said. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He's
they
speaking
like
out.
to kick their own people when they think black people do. A lot of black people do that because it's just embedded in their brains. They'll just go with everybody else and kick their own people when they're down. That's what I see.
Do you think it's a confusion that the fight fans will um shower Deontay Wilder with because he's an American, vice the neighboring fighters like this say for instance, let's say for instance, if you have a fighter like Lennox Lewis or any other fighter that has an accent or whatever, and they're talking some bullshit, because it seems like Deontay Wilder is basically getting all the criticism because he is from Alabama. He's an easy target, and he was reigning for over 5 years. So people say, you know what? If we don't support him, sooner or later he would goddamn face his downfall anyway. If we don't support him as much, we'll face his downfall. So now you got Anthony Joshua, so to speak, right? Anthony Joshua, claim to fame is, he was in trouble for selling weed back in the day or whatever. Nothing that Deontay
Yeah,
Wilder can relate to, but his dad is, Nigerian roots. But yet, when you're fighting over in the UK, they don't allow you to basically claim that other side. Look at Isaac Dogbe too. When you over in the UK, you're supporting the UK. Period. You from the UK. That's it. You don't see too much of Anthony Joshua supporting his own roots, but they love Anthony Joshua though. You know what I'm saying? They love to be that guy. And I commend Deontay Wilder for being an activist outside of the ring. I don't expect not only the people that's outside of the black race, but I don't even expect the black people in general to all unify together and support Deontay Wilder if he was to go back in there and get his belt back for Tyson Fury. They're gonna say some other bullshit. You know what I'm saying? I'm just keeping it 100. Like how many twists and turns do the champ have to go through for people to give him that respect?
right, right, right. As far as what you said about Anthony Joshua, I think that, like you said, I mean, they look at him and they say, okay, well, he's from the UK. In the UK, they look at these fighters like, okay, well, he represents our country. We're gonna stick behind him. We all know that it's totally different in America. When he's in the center of that ring in America, they don't see him represent our country. They see a black man. That's what they see. He's a black man, and um, he's a loudmouth. He talks too much. I mean, we all know
But check
that.
this out, KT. What if Deontay was and shout out to Denise Wars. Thank you very much. I appreciate the donation. I always enjoy the quality of the show, and I always appreciate your support, Denise. Um, KT, what about if Deontay Wilder said pussy cunt? Just like Tyson Fury always said, that's his everyday language, bro. You know what I'm saying? He said, oh, he's a pussy, he's a cunt, he's a dosser. If Deontay Wilder was to call somebody a pussy and a cunt, I was telling somebody the other day that it'll be women's right groups all chiming in, talking about he's absolutely disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? And everybody else that can hop on the bandwagon and say, Deontay Wilder has a daughter and he's disrespecting women in general. All that shit, bro. Like I think he's a no-win situation, bro.
Yeah, well, if he did all of that, he would probably be stripped of the title, and unless he came out with a huge public apology, he wouldn't be able to do all of that and get away with it. Especially now. I mean, yeah, Tyson was able to, say certain things like that back then, but we know, it wasn't like it is now back then.
Yeah.
So I mean, he wouldn't be able. Deontay Wilder would not be able to do all of that. They damn near wanted him to strip him of the title for saying, about what he said about killing the body.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he wouldn't be able to do all of that, but Conor McGregor, Tyson Fury, they can say things like that, and it's just looked at as, oh, they're so funny. They're comedians,
That's
which
true.
it might be funny.
Real talk, right?
Yeah, which it might be funny to a lot of us, but you got to keep the same energy when someone of another color and another race does it. But yeah, man, it's boxing. Boxing is a very unique sport because it opens up and it shows you a lot of issues, that just goes on in America and around the world, period. A lot of people, they try to act like it doesn't exist and close their eyes to it. But boxing really opens it up, because what I've always felt is that just, on the issue of racism and everything, because it does exist. I don't care what Polly Malignaggi says and what nobody says. It exists, and it exists, period, in all sports. But see, the difference with, say, football, basketball, all these other sports, you could say, okay, well, even if I do have a lot of racist views or prejudice or whatever you want to call it, I could say, oh, well, I like that team. I like that team. But in boxing, you got one individual standing in the ring.
Yeah.
It's not a team, it's that one individual. So it makes it a lot different. But yeah, man, it's just like, me personally, I don't care what color you are. I've never watched boxing to say, okay, well, I'm gonna watch him because he this color. No, if you can fight, and what character you stand on, I'm gonna ride with you. Everybody got their certain fighters that they like. Everybody got their certain fighters that they don't like. And you don't have to like Deontay Wilder. Just because you black, you don't got to like Deontay Wilder. But, I mean, how can you not respect a man that has the principles and morals that he stands on? That's all I'm saying. How can you hate that man?
Yeah, hate him with a true passion, too. Hate him with a true passion. And, while we on the subject of holding people accountable, I want to ask your feedback on this, KT, about Devin Haney. I know it's kind of dissolved a little bit. It's kind of smoldering right now. But the fact that he said he wouldn't let a white boy beat him, do you look at that as like trash talk? Him being held accountable once again to what you're saying over here in America, and him characterizing strictly a white boy, and caveat and linking that up with Billy Joe Sanders singling out women on what you should do to beat them and shit like that. Also with Sergey Kovalev having his incident with domestic violence. Which one do you see that was made to apologize to the audience much more out of the three? I think it was Devin Haney, to be honest, because even though they stripped Billy Joe Sanders of his damn license, I just don't think he really had to come out twice like Devin Haney. But then, Devin Haney, in a sense, with what he said, I don't think it was racism. I think it was more bravado, but it was at the wrong time. I just think for him rising up in the sport, but trying to become relevant as the WBC lightweight champion, I think it was a bad move on his part at this time against Lomachenko. That's all.
The way I feel about it is that what Devin Haney did, you can't even compare to the other two situations. I mean,
Correct.
first off, because I mean, one man is making a video, whether he say that he's playing or not. I mean, he has to have some type of thought about it in his head to even make the video, showing how to beat women and whatnot. Okay. The other man, Sergey Kovalov, we don't even want to get into all of the shit that he did. I mean, come on now. And then he didn't even have to come out and apologize. We know what Sergey Kovalov did. He didn't even come out and apologize. I haven't heard him come out and apologize. I mean, all he's doing is denying it. But I mean, how can he deny it? He didn't broke the lady's jaw and all type of stuff. But as far as Devin Haney, I mean, honestly, he was talking about, I mean, we all know who he was talking about. He was talking about Lomachenko, okay? We all know that he was talking about Lomachenko. And I didn't look at it as his racist, because I know Devin Haney is not a racist. Devin Haney's not prejudiced. He's not racist. I think he was just, he got comfortable during the interview. And you know how we talk amongst each other sometimes when we talk in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Like, man, I ain't gonna let that white boy beat me. And he just said it. I don't think that he thought about it when he said it. It was just in the midst of trash talk. Because, I mean, everybody know that Vasyl Lomachenko is one of the best in the sport, period. And he's capable, of beating anybody. But it's just him trash talking, like, man, I ain't gonna let that white boy beat me. And I don't think that he didn't really think about it when he was saying it, because it was in the midst of, it was in the midst of the trash talking. It was in the midst of an interview where he felt comfortable. Now, if he was doing that same interview with some of these other media outlets, ESPN or something, I don't think that he would have said that, because he wouldn't have felt comfortable, with saying that. So I think that's just all it was. I didn't look into it too much, like, oh my God, I can't believe he just said that, and I don't even think that the people that's acting like that they're offended by him saying that are really that offended by him saying that. I think that they just wanted something to, be able to talk about, because they wanted to be able to because, okay, so they see us, speaking out on all the racism that Deontay Wilder's getting. Because, I mean, you see it in the comments, all the racist comments that Wilder and a lot of these other fighters are getting. And then we speak out about it, and they try to act like that it doesn't exist. So now they got, now they're able to be like, see, he did it. He said it. Look what Devin Haney said. He's a racist too. Blacks are racist too. So that's what it was, And now it's an outcry because he said that. And I think it was just, they put something that was small and blew it up 10 times worse than what it really was. But, since they blew it up, it had to be addressed. And I don't think that Devin Haney should have ever came out and apologized. I think that he should have came out and just said, look, that's the way I feel. I don't feel that, nobody can beat me, white, black, or whatever. I didn't mean it in a racial way, so if you took it like that, I apologize, but I still stand on what I stand on. I still mean what I said, and left it like that. Because him coming out with a full-blown apology, I looked at it like, man, mean what you say and say what you mean. Don't let these people make you apologize, and if you're going to apologize, clarify what you're apologizing about.
Sure, yeah.
Well, that's just how.
And solid point, man. I just put Devin Haney's situation with Sergey Kovalev and Billy Joe Saunders, because I didn't hear too much of the media around here on YouTube talking about those two particular situations. But I did see a lot of hate distributed against Devin Haney and what he was saying. And I did mention I thought it was poor judgment at the timing, but I didn't. I also said I didn't think it was racist because, like you said, we have talked like that amongst each other, and we don't mean that type of shit. You know what I'm saying? We're not really
Right.
talking about all the white. It's just a conversation, just like using the N word and all the other shit, right? But
Right.
with Devin Haney, I don't know if he was influenced by who he was on the interview with to feel comfortable with saying that, because he was on there with his pops. And I don't know, he might have been feeling himself just a little bit just to say, you know what, in order for me to get this fight, I just thought all around it was bad timing because you have Teofimo Lopez that's due up to fight Lomachenko next. So for Devin Haney to say he'll never lose to a white boy, the two things that separate him and Bernard Hopkins, that Bernard had already established his career. You know what I'm saying? He was much more of a figurehead in boxing than Devin Haney was when he told Joe that. So
Yeah.
for Devin Haney to turn around while he's in the building phases of his career, we're really it kind of put him in a bad place. That's all. He just didn't really have no foundation to stand on just yet because he haven't really solidified his career yet.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about he hasn't solidified his career. We still haven't seen him in those, upper echelon of big fights or none of that yet. He's still getting his feet wet. But I also looked at it in a sense is that everybody was talking about it. Now people that didn't know who Devin Haney was are going to be checking on him. Now
Correct.
people of other races that might have looked at it and took offense to that, they're going to be checking on him just to see him move. So I think, in a certain aspect of it, it was a good move. It was a very good move, even though that he wasn't thinking about it when he said it. It wasn't planned. It was just, it was kind of like, okay, if I'm doing an interview with you, I might feel a lot more comfortable, and open
Yeah.
up and say certain things that I'm not going to say or may not even feel comfortable talking about if I'm sitting in front of, PBC representatives and doing an interview. Just like we saw with Errol Spence when he did the PBC interview, and then versus when he did the interview with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes.
Yeah,
It was a whole different Errol Spence. You know what I'm saying? Because he was comfortable with who he was doing the interview with. So I think it's just same thing stands for Devin Haney. He was just comfortable trash talking, and it wasn't no more than that. But like I said, I think, it could help his career, because it got him a lot of more notoriety than what he had. A lot more people talking. And like I said, in boxing and combat sports, we all know one of the, key things to rising in boxing is to get people to pay to see you lose. Now, as far as the promotion companies and, and these, are they going to hold him back? Because of what he said, I don't think so, but that could be, maybe what you're talking about. Like, okay, well, he ain't even, they can hold him back, for saying that. They could, but at the end of the day, I think if Devin Haney can continue to back up what he's talking, he gonna get big fights because, these promoters, they want money, they want, at the end of the day, they see dollar signs, and if they see Devin Haney out there doing his thing and backing up everything that he's talking, they're gonna put him on big cards. He's gonna get big fights.
Yeah, he's gonna get some big fights, man. His name is out there as one of the top tier names in lightweight division, of course. I wasn't putting it out there as if he's just done in boxing, but Bernard Hopkins, considerably, his career is already at the peak when he made that comment face to face. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Face to
Hmm.
face. And he was due to face Joe, but Haney wasn't due to face Lomachenko. And you know what? Lomachenko is the cash cow right now in the lightweight division. Plus, he's a franchise champion. But I wanted to ask you this, and thanks for jumping on the live. But I wanted to get your opinion about the Charlos, bro. Recently Jamel Charlo came out and said he would want to face Jason Rosario in the blackout with no audience. Do you feel that's a fight in the junior middleweight division potentially that could happen? And do you believe that Jason Rosario would take the fight, man?
Um, it's kind of a hard question. First of all, as far as Jamel Charlo, you can't do nothing but respect that. And you can see that Jamel Charlo, Errol Spence, those type of guys, they cut from a different cloth because they both said they don't care if nobody's in the arena. You know what I'm saying? They still gonna fight just as long as you have that check right. And so you got to respect that. But as far as Jason Rosario taking the fight, honestly, I don't see him taking that fight because if you remember, right after he won the title, he told us straight out that he's not going to fight Jamel Charlo.
Correct.
So what has changed now? And that's the thing that I'm getting sick of all of these guys now. All of a sudden, they acting like that they got nuts. And, I want to fight. You didn't want to fight him beforehand. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? A lot of these, and you see it just like I do. A lot of these fighters are coming out now, like, I want to fight. I'm down to fight such and such, and I want to fight this. But you weren't saying that when boxing was alive and going on. So now, but yeah, I don't see him taking that fight. They can mandate it. If they mandate it, I don't, really know. If there's a way around it, I mean, it's always a way around it. But see, Jason Rosario, he doesn't really have clout like that. Even though he is a champ, he don't have clout like that to actually, if they do mandate it, turn a fight down, without being stripped. So unless they do that, I don't see it happening right now because he made it clear that he doesn't want to fight Jamel Charlo. So what has changed?
Yeah, the pandemic is, I don't know. The pandemic is, like you said, causing a lot of people to have a bit larger cojones, especially voicing their opinions and talking shit online. So if not Jason Rosario, who do you see the Charlo brothers fighting? Like Jamel Charlo, for instance, and Jamal Charlo are in need of big fights, bro. You know what I'm saying? Tony Harrison, it gathered their attention. You know what I'm saying? We were just curious to see if Tony Harris can go back in there and defeat Jamel Charlo, and he wasn't able to. So it kind of puts him in the same category as Julian Williams when he fought Jerry Hurd. He wasn't able to defend his titles against Jason Rosario, which not too many people knew about. You know what I'm saying? They didn't think he was gonna go in there and do that. But
I didn't. I didn't. I
yeah,
mean,
we didn't think that shit was gonna happen. And from my understanding, is he's recovering from a surgery that he had on a cut. But if not Jason Rosario, man, I mean, what's next for Jamel Charlo and Jamal Charlo? Like, they seem like these two individuals that has big names for the Charlo twins, but yet they haven't had a breakout fight yet.
for as far as Jamel Charlo, I don't know. I mean, before all of this happened, it was rumors that him and Laura, him and Laura were maybe gonna fight. That will be a good fight. I mean, yeah, Laura doesn't have Laura don't have no title right now. Laura doesn't have a title, but that's still a good fight. I think that's I think that's a excellent fight, to make happen right after this pandemic and everything, when boxing starts back.
Yeah. So you would
Why
want to
not?
see, excuse me, I didn't mean to cut you off, but you would want to see Jamel Charlo versus Laura before Terrence Crawford and freaking Jamel Charlo.
Well, I don't that Terrence Crawford and Jamel Charlo, I don't think that's gonna happen. Like I'd be willing to bet all my money that that doesn't happen. I
What
think
if
that's
it
just
what if it was though, being that anything's possible right now? You know what I'm saying? Being that Errol Spence is coming back and fighting whatever that guy is, Martin Lee, that's talking all this shit from out of
Spence
TMT.
ain't fighting him. Spence not fighting him. That's all fake news. Spence, I got somebody that spoke to Spence personally, and he said, and he laughed, and he was like, "Man, I'm not fighting that dude." He was like, "I'll never fight that dude." He was like, "I'll go down there where he at, and I'll beat the shit out of him sparring." He was like, "But I'm not fighting him." Like, I mean, what would that? What sense was that? Like, I mean, we got to think about that, right?
Yeah,
So Spence said it out of his own mouth that he's not fighting the guy. You know, he'll spar him. But I think what Lee is doing, what he's basically doing is he is, making a name for himself. You know, he knows exactly what he's doing. He knows that Errol Spence is not going to fight him. He know that he doesn't even have a chance to fight Errol Spence. But what he's doing is he's making a name for himself, and he's riding a wave. He thinks it's funny. You know what I'm saying? I even spoke to him back and forth on Instagram, and he knows what he's doing. You know, he thinks it's funny, but everybody's riding with it. Everybody's putting out the stories. So if I'm him, why not keep saying it? You know, I mean, I got to do what I got to do to get my name out there. I got to. We all know how hard it is for some of these fighters to make a name for themselves. We know how hard it is for some of these fighters to even get fights. So, if I'm him, why not keep doing it? Y'all making stories about it. A lot
yeah.
of people believe in it, so why not keep doing it? But that's not gonna happen. So and I know that for a fact. I mean, what sense would it make for Errol Spence to fight somebody? What's his record, like 11-1 or
Yeah.
12, 13-1, something like that, or whatever, that nobody's ever heard of ever. And Errol Spence is gonna step in the ring after being on top of the sport, a pay-per-view star, you
Yeah.
know, um, and I'm gonna come back and fight that guy. Come on now, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, so that's not gonna happen. But
Who's
I
in
mean,
the
as
frame
far
though?
as
Who's in
huh?
the frame? Who's in the frame to face Errol Spence? If it's not, I heard he wanted to he didn't want a soft touch initially, but his camp has somewhat changed their um their angle on that. So who could potentially can Errol Spence fight on his combat, man?
Well, I mean, I haven't heard Derek James say anything different. Derek James initially he said, uh, Errol Spence will make that decision, and he says that if he sees that Errol is not the same, then he will, advise him to take, a tune up or whatnot. But from what we hear from Errol Spence, I think this pandemic has actually helped him out a lot because
Yeah, the cut
um,
weight.
yeah, well, even and see, and the thing, his mouth, he still has the post in his mouth for
Yeah,
his teeth.
healing. Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't fight with those in his mouth anyway. You see what I'm saying? So all of this is giving him more time to heal. Like he said now he's 100%, all the way back to 100%. He says that the only thing is that he got to get his permanent teeth in, and other than that, he'll be 150%. So it's giving him time, and he's I think, like I said, I think that when everything comes back around, we're gonna see a better version Errol Spence than what we saw in the Sean Porter fight, because now I've heard that he's down to like the low 160s already.
Yeah,
Okay,
he said he
so
cut from 189 to 147 for Porter, huh?
exactly, you see what I'm saying? And now, right now, I've heard people that's close to him say that he's walking around in the low 160s right now. Okay, so when everything comes back around, he's not gonna have to worry about cutting weight and doing all that. He's gonna be in full camp, sharpening his skills, sparring, getting in just tip top condition. So I don't really see him having to take a tune up fight because I mean, it's not like that. he fought in September. Okay, he
Mm-hmm.
fought in September. It's not like that he had broken bones that he had to heal from, that he had to build his, like you break a bone, right? You break your arm or anything, and you got to build the muscles back up in it. It's not like that he had to do all of that.
Mm-hmm.
So he fought in September. Danny Garcia fought in what, January, correct?
Something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're not talking about like Danny Garcia's had two fights in between, and Errol Spence ain't fought in a year and a half or 2 years. So, if it was that was the case, then I would see like, well, yeah, Errol, he ain't fought in like a year and a half, 2 years. He probably need a tune up. We got to think these fighters are only fighting once a year, twice a year at the most now anyway. So
Yeah.
it's really when he come back and fight, it ain't really no difference from what he has been doing. We've seen him the last few years, a few times only fight once a year. So it ain't really no difference. So I think he'll be ready because he's adamant. Every time we hear him speak, he's adamant on that he's gonna fight. It's either gonna be Danny Garcia or Pacquiao. We haven't seen him say anything but that. Now, as far as Danny Garcia, because I think it's gonna be Danny Garcia. I don't really think that Pacquiao gonna take that fight. I don't. He might right now. I don't think Pacquiao gonna take that fight right now, but I might be wrong. He might. But say it's Danny Garcia. Let's stick to who they were saying he was gonna fight all along. Danny Garcia. Say it's Danny Garcia. If him and Danny, I don't know about Danny Garcia though. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how his discipline is right now. I don't know if he's gonna want a tune-up fight. So we don't know. Now, if Danny Garcia says, look, what I'm saying, like I ain't ready right now. I wasn't able to train during all this going on. I need a tune-up fight. If Danny Garcia says that, then and Pacquiao don't want to fight him, then I have no idea. I don't know who he'll fight then because then we kind of like it like who else is there for him to fight out there? But it won't be that kid Lee.
Yeah, I'm glad is not, man, because once again, fake news run rampant. But my qualm in talking about the Wilder shit was legitimate because that's something that's in stone already. Vice Lee
Correct.
just out here just talking shit. You know what I'm saying? But I really hope Crawford get the Manny Pacquiao fight, bro. To be honest, I really hope Crawford is able to fight Manny Pacquiao so he can pick
He
up the
deserves it more.
huh?
I think that I totally agree with you because I think that Terrence Crawford deserves the Manny Pacquiao fight more than any of these other guys, including Errol Spence. Because we weren't talking about no Errol Spence and Manny Pacquiao back when we was talking about Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao. Terrence Crawford deserves that Manny Pacquiao fight more than any other fighter on the planet right now. That's just how I feel about it because Terrence Crawford, he's been trying to get that fight way back when they were still on top rank. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they owe him a fight with Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, and it would look good, as far as the unification bout is, if Terrence Crawford, the WBO and WBA champion first versus the WBC and IBF champion for all the marbles in the welterweight division, man, you can't beat that shit, for a PPV fight.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I
And
don't
I
I don't
think
see Manny Pacquiao defeating Terrence Crawford. I'm gonna be honest. I just with testing and everything else, I just don't see him beating Terrence Crawford.
hey, I feel you with that with what you threw in because we all know with that I didn't speak on it too much, but with that Keith Thurman, with what happened with Keith Thurman, I'm not accusing the Manny Pacquiao of anything, but we all know it wasn't VADA tested. And I
Yeah, it
just
wasn't
to
about the
me,
testing. I don't know how many
to
groups I
me,
get kicked out of. People up here crying and complaining, talking about I'm disrespecting Manny Pacquiao. I say no, man. It's fact. VADA testing wasn't included for the Keith Thurman fight. It wasn't included for the damn Adrian Broner or Lucas Matisse.
and for me, that was real fishy to me. That was real fishy because in that in the Keith Thurman fight,
Manny Pacquiao looked very, very good,
He
and
looks
we all
sharp.
saw that and we saw that Keith Thurman could do. And I was actually me and Money. I think it was me and Money. We was talking about this. I was, going back and forth with him about this on the phone the other day because I was saying the biggest determining factor in that Keith Thurman and Manny Pacquiao fight was that for some reason Keith Thurman could not take Manny Pacquiao's power.
Mm-hmm.
He could, if you go back and look at the fight, Manny Pacquiao could take, even though he said that Keith Thurman hurt him a few times, Manny Pacquiao didn't really show it. Keith Thurman, every time he got caught by Pacquiao, he was showing that he was hurt, that he couldn't take his power like that. So, and I mean, we haven't seen Manny Pacquiao look that great in a long time and pack that much power that he was packing in that Keith Thurman fight. So, it is what it is. But as far as Terrence Crawford and Manny Pacquiao, um, I think it's I'll probably give, maybe it's a 45-55.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I still haven't seen Terrence Crawford in the ring with, that level of opponent. No, I've always picked him to beat Manny Pacquiao. I don't think that he's just gonna beat Manny Pacquiao by a landslide. I think it'll be a close fight. Um, I don't think it'll be no KOs in that fight. I think it'll go the distance. But I think it'll be I think it'll be a lot closer than a lot of people think. But it's a fight that I think will be great for Terrence Crawford, and it's a fight that I think Terrence Crawford needs to go into the Errol Spence fight. Because he needs a big fight. He needs a big name opponent to fight in order to make that Errol Spence fight as lucrative as they want to make it. Because when we start talking about cross promotion and all of that, you got to have certain names, and Manny Pacquiao is a big name for Terrence Crawford to sell with. Because Terrence Crawford, no hating on Terrence Crawford, but I mean, the fact is he hasn't been able to sell fights on pay-per-view, on his own.
Correct.
So obviously he needs that big name opponent, and who else better than Manny Pacquiao before you face Errol Spence? Because if he can beat Manny Pacquiao, his name is going to grow. Imagine that, him beating Manny Pacquiao. Because Manny Pacquiao hasn't lost since Marquez? Or no, well, Mayweather. He hasn't lost since Mayweather. But other than that, Marquez. If you can beat Manny Pacquiao, that's gonna make his name huge. Terrence Crawford's name and is gonna grow huge. So once he does that, I mean, that's the making of a fight between him and Spence. Because the only thing stopping a fight between him and Errol Spence right now, besides Errol Spence's accident, is Terrence Crawford's popularity in pay-per-view numbers. You see, so I mean, Terrence Crawford's popularity will grow a lot bigger if he can beat a Manny Pacquiao.
Yeah, that's sound words, man. And I concur, man, because Terrence Crawford, he needs that Manny Pacquiao fight, especially in the welterweight division and in his career. And yeah,
Correct.
Halo, everything you just said. Yeah, I really hope Terrence Crawford face Manny Pacquiao. And I'm gonna tell you, I truly believe that Terrence Crawford can defeat Manny Pacquiao. And if he's able to pick up a second strap heading into that fight with Errol Spence for all the damn belts for the welterweight division, hell yeah, that fight will do big numbers. It'll do solid numbers, man. That fight will do solid numbers. So I hope it works out that way, man.
Yeah, I mean, because yeah, me too, man. I've said it on my show plenty of times that I wanted Terrence Crawford to get that fight because I think that he just deserves it more. At the end of the day, I just think that he deserves it more. It's kind of like, okay, everybody's waiting in line to get that Manny Pacquiao fight, right? But who's been waiting in line the longest? He been waiting in line the longest. It's and that's just what it is. So um, that fight, he deserves that fight. More than anybody. And like I said, like you said, like I said, it's gonna help him out going into an Errol Spence fight. It's gonna be huge for him because in order for them to make that Spence fight, like I'll continue to say, Bob Arum, the networks, and everybody has to see the residuals coming in. They got to see that they're going to be able to make a lot of money off of that. Plus, both of those guys are going to want to make at least 20 mil.
Yeah. Bob Arum says no way Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence can happen during the pandemic blackout. It's no way, because it's a money fight. You know what I'm saying? It's no way that fight can happen. And I would like to see Terrence Crawford face Manny Pacquiao with no audience, to be honest. I mean, just so he can get the strap, And I'm not sure if you heard that Bob Arum's been saying that he doesn't care who Terrence Crawford fight. If Terrence Crawford want to fight anybody, he'll try to make the fight. I mean, I'm not saying that Bob Arum's just talking, but he did make mention of that. And also he said, which was good to hear, Bob Arum kind of made a point that the future of boxing, as far as when everything starts to lift back up, he's not in a rush to make boxing happen. He's not trying to be number one, but whenever it comes along, he'll start making some big fights. And I'm looking forward to that happening. I hope it's not anything with Keith Thurman coming back in the picture, because Keith Thurman kind of made the insinuation that he was injured when he fought Pacquiao. He was on the boxing force. He was on the boxing force, and Keith Thurman insinuated that he wasn't 100% and he was injured when he fought Pac. So I really don't want to see a rematch of any sort. I don't want to see Keith Thurman versus Terrence Crawford, to be honest.
Right. I mean, the reason that we don't want to see Keith Thurman, I'm pretty sure you feel the same way, because you don't feel that Keith Thurman, you don't feel that his heart is all the way in it. I mean,
he got married. He just don't seem like he that same killer, man.
We see him looking like he about 200 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, he looked big. People talk about Errol Spence looking. Keith Thurman looks very big. But we seen Keith Thurman say that he was blowing up to almost 190 pounds walking around. And he's still not in no type of shape. He don't even look like he's training at all. So, I mean, yeah, if I see a Keith Thurman in the ring with anybody else, I want to see the Keith Thurman that I saw back in 2018, 17.
Yeah.
Before. Other than that, don't, rob the fans of their money if you're not going to take it serious. And that's just how I feel about Keith Thurman. But as far as what Bob Arum is saying, I think it's it's truth to what Bob Arum was saying, but it's a story behind that too.
Yeah.
I truly feel that Bob Arum, he don't care who these fighters fight. At the end of the day, Bob Arum is what, in his 80s?
88.
He's 88, almost 90 years old. Bob Arum has seen the biggest fights and has had, promoted the biggest fights in the history of boxing. So at this point in time, I really truly think that he don't care who fight. But at the end of the day, Bob Arum is a businessman. So yeah, he don't care who fight, but he care what type of money he's gonna get off of it at the end of the day, So with him saying that, Terrence Crawford can fight whoever he wants to fight and he'll try to make the fight. Yeah, Bob Arum will send anybody an offer. But we all know that offer might be a low offer. So if you take it, Bob Arum will make that fight. If you don't take it, Bob Arum is not going to make that fight. So, and as far as these PBC fighters, you can't send a lot of these guys them low ball offers to fight a guy like Terrence Crawford, because you know that they're not going to take that when they're making a lot more than that fighting Rudy Poots. You know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, when they're going to make a lot more than that. So why am I going to risk fighting Terrence Crawford when I know it's going to be a huge fight, and then you want to pay me $3-4 million? So it all depends, you know. And then we know that the business side, if Terrence Crawford, because let's be honest, if we're talking about Terrence Crawford fighting anybody, it has to be a PBC fighter. You
Yeah.
know, it got to be if anybody that anybody cares about, anybody of name, it has to be a PBC fighter. So if you fighting a PBC fighter, is Bob Arum really the one to be making the offers? Because that I mean, if it's a big name, it got to be a cross promotion. So I mean, it's the business side of that I hate to talk about, and I hate that it is, but that's just what it is.
And I appreciate the cross promotion that happened with Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury, bro. That shit was on point. It was done smoothly, professionally,
Mm-hmm.
and it worked out great. So the only thing I was thinking about, okay, they were successful with this cross promotion. I'm thinking the fights in the future. So hopefully this kind of churns the wheels, man, for for them to cross promote for a fight like Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence and so forth, because they did such a outstanding job with Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, man. Now the doors are open. The shit works. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, you right. They did a wonderful job with Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, but the history behind that was a lot different than these other fights
Yeah.
because you got to think, okay, they were able to have a pay-per-view before that. They fought each other before that on pay-per-view, and they gauged the numbers. They
Yeah.
were also able to see all of the people that streamed it
Mhm.
illegally, and it was like what, over 10 million people that streamed illegal streamed the first Tyson Fury fight. So I think they took those numbers and were like, okay, if we're able to at least just shut off half of those streams and make it harder, we're going to get these numbers. Plus the promotion behind the second fight, they had the Super Bowl. That was huge. They had a they was able to promote that fight, do commercials on the Super Bowl. That was huge. They was able to do it during the college, the NCAA football playoffs. So the college season, so it was even during the NBA. So, it was a lot of circumstances surrounding the promotions of that fight that made it big. So it just wasn't like they was just able to, bring the two companies together and make a pay-per-view. It was a lot put into that. So when you do a cross promotion of a fight of those magnitudes, you got to look at it in the aspect is it has to be the right time of the year.
But this came a long ways, KT.
Other.
This came a long ways, KT, from Aaron calling Heyman a cancer to them promoting the fight. You know what I'm saying? That shit. That's
Yeah. Cause money talk,
way, bro.
Well, money talk, and we got to remember that ESPN, they gave Tyson Fury that contract, right? Just on the strength of the rematch with Deontay Wilder, because they saw how big and how everybody was talking about the Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight after it had happened. See, that Tyson Fury Deontay Wilder fight was talked about more after it happened than when it, took. Hello, you still there?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm here.
Okay. Yeah. It was talked about, more after the fact than when it originally took place, because then, people were talking about it as being the best heavyweight fight, in the past 20 years, and this, and that. It was on ESPN. And so after that, I think that ESPN, they jumped in, they gave Tyson Fury that contract just so they could be able to display the rematch between the two. So that made it bigger, and with ESPN, getting it with Fox. Yeah, so I mean, all of these fights that we're talking about, they can be huge. They just is it the only thing is it are they gonna put all of that money into it to promote them like they did with Tyson Fury and Wilder, because they put a lot of money in that Tyson Fury and Wilder to promote that fight.
Absolutely, man. We can only look forward to bigger fights, man. Of course, we don't even know when this shit is going to lift up for them to even start kicking off regional fights. But what we do know about boxing, that KT, is that they're going to front load some cards once this is over with. They're going to try to do anything and everything to attract the fans back to the square circle. We can guarantee that. And I'm pretty sure it's going to be some heavy ass cards with some big names on it once the fight cards start to become relevant again, and the bans are lifted. You know, more so the gathering. You know, I hope they put the gathering numbers back up to 50 sometime before 2020 is over with.
Right. Now I got a question for you. You know how a lot of these fights were able to be made before because fighters were asking for, well, promoters were saying, certain fighters was asking for too much money, that they weren't going to pay them, and this, and that. Now that these fighters have been sitting on the shelf, do you think that they still going to have that same pool where they're still going to be asking for, certain amounts of money, or do you think that these fighters are just going to basically take what's offered to them because they've been sitting on the shelf not making no money in the first place? How you feel about that? What do you think is going to take place with a lot of these, big name fighters?
That's the one pothole of boxing, that KT, for real, bro. This is it right here, the pandemic. Because boxing, the fighters aren't getting paid a stipend like that. So for them to once be in an active sport and demanding a certain amount of money, we all know the obvious. These fighters are going to have to take what they can get once the sport resumes. That's just the law of the land right now with the sport of boxing. You don't have a union. You don't have any type of plan set up to receive residual stipends in a shutdown like this. So for them to come back to a sport and say, you know what, I'm demanding top dollar, and they're going to be told, like, you know what, we have to kind of check the numbers out. We have to kind of get the viewers back interested, because not only is the pandemic going on, but we have 20 plus million unemployment rate. You have people out here that used to watch boxing that's suffering, that lost their job. So they're not going to be able to reach in their pockets for a PPV, a $60 or $70 PPV. So they're going to have to wait till the numbers start to elevate a little bit more, bro. And for these fighters to come up here and kind of ask for those paychecks. Because I'm going to tell you what, Bob Aaron say, I ain't coming out my pocket. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit up here and satisfy these fighters, So I think it's going to come down to the gradual fluctuation of the sport, the numbers, the viewership, people getting back tuned in with the economy for it to pretty much bleed back over the boxing. And so these fighters can start asking their worth. Because it's just going to be tough without a gate, bro. Without a full gate, full capacity gate, it's just going to be tough, man, for these fighters that's on the undercard to sit up here and ask for these numbers, and it's nowhere to get the money. Like, where the money going to come from? Everybody's suffering right now, man. Everybody's paying the price. You know what I'm saying? They didn't ask for the shit, but they showed enough in the middle of it. And it's going to take the 2021, I'll say about the end of 2021 for, the pay scales to start balancing themselves out. I think the fighters are going to be very disappointed once they step back on an active fight card and what their pay is going to be. Unless you can tell me where the money coming from. I mean, how can they make money outside of the gate? If the gate is still partially shut down, like how are the fighters going to make money? Every fight card can't be a PPV.
Right. And then we got to also look at. I'm sorry. Then we got to also look at the fact that a lot of people had subscriptions to DAZN, ESPN. How many people canceled their subscriptions? How many people are not going to be able to afford to pay those monthly subscriptions anymore?
Well, I'm one of the ones that was subscribed to ESPN. I haven't seen shit on ESPN, man. Like, no boxing has been on, right? But I haven't seen them hit me up for like, okay, your shit's up for renewal.
Yeah, see, I pay monthly.
I do
I
too.
think mine is still coming out. I gotta go check to tell you. Now we talking about. I gotta go check and see if they still. I'm pretty sure they still charging me. But for the DAZN, I just paid the year. I paid the yearly, so that was already paid.
So the zone, to be clear, are you like in the $20 deal, or a year is what, 100 and something?
I think I paid 99 or 100, something like that, like 100
Okay.
for the year.
Okay. All right. Yeah, man, they shouldn't be charged. They should have held out shit. You know what I'm saying? They should have held it until boxing is active, because what's really going on with ESPN Plus? Like boxing and MMA are both on shutdown right now. So what we're curious about is this card next week. I know Dana White is trying to put on a PPV card in Florida at the ViStar Veterans Memorial. So I'm curious to see if this UFC card is going to kind of crack open the floodgates a little bit for boxing and MMA to start resuming on a smaller scale, because everything is looking positive. You know what I'm saying? That like everything is looking up for this May 9th UFC card. So if he's able to put on this PPV card with minimal staff on deck, and it goes off without a hitch, no new COVID-19 cases, then it may indeed open up the gates for boxing a little bit more. You know what I'm saying? I can see that happening.
Yeah, I mean, we look at the WWE. They still having, that regular, broadcasting and everything in empty arenas.
But you know why that's considerably different than boxing and MMA, KT, is because they don't need a cornerman. They don't need a cutman. All they need is two people. Because if you look at the WWE, they have cut down on tag team matches a lot, right? I'm talking about physical matches. They do a promo and shit. That's it. They doing mostly one-on-ones. And you take the one-on-ones, the WWE don't need any judges. They don't need a commission. Like,
right.
They can just go out there with the one-on-one match with the two people sitting on the side commentating. They don't need all the mandatories that MMA and boxing has, man. So they can get away with that shit.
Yeah, but you can you could have it in boxing and MMA and demand like the judges, officials, and the cornermen to wear the protective mask. We could do that. I don't see a problem with that. Why not?
And no, I was talking about the numbers as far as the WWE. You were saying they were still able to operate, and I was like, they walk in there with a light load, man. Like they just walk down that with minimal. They have a cameraman, they have the one-on-one, the wrestlers, and Vince McMahon and whoever is there talking. They have minimal, but for boxing and MMA, the minimum starts off with 3 in the goddamn ring. Those 3 is the referee and the 2 fighters. And then you got 3 on each side. That's 9 right there. You have 3 in the corner of each fighter. Then you take the 3 that's in the ring. That's 9. And then you have to factor in the judges, the commission, the commentators. The numbers run up fairly quickly, man.
Well, yeah. I understood what you were saying. What I was saying is that because there's so many people, just have them all, wear protective, the protective mask,
correct,
gloves and mask, and make it more safe. That's the only thing I can see, because it is, like you said, it is a lot more, people in MMA and boxing, that has to be, around the ring and whatnot.
And then we don't have any test kits, man. We haven't heard shit about any test kits that's accessible. You can buy test kits and have them at the door or whatever for people to be tested for COVID-19. Because believe it or not, people are gonna buy food, bro. They're gonna goddamn get something to drink, and they got to remove their mask to do that.
Well, I mean, when I was saying the people, I'm saying not the fans. I don't think that I think that we're far from being able to have fans, going to these arenas and whatnot. I mean, just like basically the staff and the cornermen and
Yeah, I'm talking
as
about
far as
them.
those.
Yeah, I'm talking about them. They're gonna have to remove their shit to eat. I mean, you've been to a car, them people, they remove their shit too. Like
Yeah,
they gotta eat, they gotta damn get something to drink and sip on, so they won't be up there with a damn dry ass throat and shit and feeling
yeah.
uncomfortable.
It's a complicated situation. It's complicated when you really, really start looking deep into it. If they really want to be 100% safe, like you said, they really gonna have to have test kits for everybody. And we don't, it doesn't look like at this point in time we even have test kits like that to be able to test, everybody. And then if they start testing all of the athletes in these sports, what about everybody else? That's going to be the outcry. Excuse me. That's going to be the outcry. Everybody's going to say, okay, well, why do you have test kits for them, but then you don't have test kits for the rest of the population?
Yeah, you got that right. You ain't never lied on that. People be complaining and shit, man, because that's the truth right now. It's really like down here in the A, man. They open back up the economy and lifted some bans, and I've never once heard of test kits. Accessible test kits. Like you still got people walking up in stores, man, with no mask on. I mean, I don't know what's going on down here. I don't know why the governor will open up the and lift the bans down here in the A, but Florida did the same thing. So I don't know, man. It would be a good time to bring boxing down here. Since the state has opened up a little bit, and it's gonna be a while before the Mecca of boxing open back up, NYC. It's gonna be so long before we come back over there, bro. I feel bad for that, man, because it's gonna be a while before we step back over to Madison Square Garden and the Barclays, man. And
I was mad about that because I was gonna go to the Lomachenko Teofimo Lopez fight out there, and that ruined all that. I was looking forward to that.
Yeah, and it's really gonna affect. We don't know how long the stipulation is gonna be in the place on how it's gonna affect media. The amount of fans is going to be allowed in there for a period of time to gauge the active numbers of the new outbreaks of COVID-19 and see if it just stays leveled out. We don't know any of that shit, man. It may be a while before we actually step back up on Vegas, in NYC.
Yeah, man. I see it being a while. I see it, but I said it when all of this stuff first hit. Everybody was like, "Oh, it'd be 2 weeks, a couple weeks." I said, "No, this is gonna last a long time."
Hell no, shit. 2 weeks. We wish, goddammit.
Yeah, I was telling people, I said, "This is it's gonna get worse before it gets better."
Yeah, man. I ain't gonna lie. I thought I'd never kind of miss the on-site boxing cards the way that I did, being in this shutdown. It's just it's weird. I'm not gonna lie. It's a whole lot weird, being that you can't really say, okay, man, let me plan to go to this fight card right here. And it's no fight card scheduled. It's nothing freaking scheduled, man. Like it's nothing for you to plan.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's like I'm having withdrawals. I'm saving money. Don't get me wrong, I'm saving money, but it's still like, man, it's hard.
Yeah, we both saving money. I'm saving money, goddammit.
Yeah, I'm saving money now. But I know my daughters, Daddy, how come you ain't been watching boxing? How come you ain't been going to boxing? So they even noticed it.
That's good shit, man. I wish my son would even ask one thing about boxing. Shit, these kids, they get let out of school for the year, man, and they don't even want to work out in the house. They don't want to do shit, man.
Man, they don't, man. I've been having mine. I take them to the track, run, get their little stuff in, keep them active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, any final words you want to say to your fans and everybody who supports you there, KT? And once again, thanks for dropping through, man, on this Sunday for World Combat Sports, man.
Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, I appreciate you for bringing me on, Scotty. Like I said, you always have excellent shows, great topics. And everybody that's watching this, make sure that y'all hit the like button and continue to tune in to World Combat Sports. Always great shows. And for everybody that's watching this, come check me out at Everything Boxing and Sports. And I think I'm gonna do it live later on today myself. So, you're welcome to come in, check me out, join me. And like I said, I appreciate everybody for tuning in.
Hey, for sure, man. And those of you that are tuning in, conducive, productive media stream right here. I truly appreciate goddamn KT, Everything Boxing, for dropping through. We both trying to grow our platforms, and hopefully you was educated on some talking points that we had today. So nothing but the best for you, my brother. Continue to grow in what you're talking about over there in sport of boxing, and stay true to your integrity with media, man. And like you said, remind them of your motto there, KT, on your way out, man. Remind them of your motto.
Say everybody already know. I don't watch reality TV. I watch boxing.
There you go, fight fans. Salute, man. Turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports, man. We out.
I appreciate it. Out.